He thinks Frisbee golf is the sport of the future. She's sticking with football. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Russell Wilson is signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I like it. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Good morning on this Monday morning. We have so much to get to. Hope your week's off to a really great start. Perloff, the Pittsburgh Steelers are doing something. Okay, is it the biggest move? Is it the best move? Is it the no-brainer? You're going to the Super Bowl move? Maybe not. But I'll tell you what, that streak of not winning a playoff game since 2016, 2017 for the Steelers is going to end with Russell Wilson now at the helm. I am positive about this move. How are you feeling about it?
I think, honestly, you're not even going to know that the Steelers signed Russell Wilson because you are going to see the exact same Steelers team that you've seen for the last 5 to 10 years is going to be repeated. This could not be more consistent with everything they've ever done. So they hire Arthur Smith this offseason, the former Falcons coach, who is just a reincarnated Mike Munchak and Ken Wisenhunt. Basically, they're doing the same thing they always do. They're going to have a run-heavy offense, conservative quarterback play that will drive fans crazy, and they'll probably win 10 games and be completely non-threatening in the AFC.
Okay, so you do not think that they are winning a playoff game.
No.
And this sort of in the middle for the Steelers continues.
10-7, yes, and I think that Russ is going to be okay. I think he was actually a little underrated in Denver. You know, I actually said that a lot the year before because he's pretty accurate and he doesn't throw a ton of picks normally. So he's going to be okay. But what makes you think the Steelers are going to change their philosophy here? Don't you think if you're talking about bigger goals, winning a playoff game, they should have modernized their offense and gone with something a little different?
No, I love this. I love it because the Steelers last year, with a season that was all types of bad, right? Kenny Pickett being ineffective, then getting hurt. The coach being forced to fire the offensive coordinator. You got wide receivers unfollowing the team on social media or whatever that nonsense was. You've got, at the end of the year, TJ Watt ends up getting hurt. Mike Tomlin maybe on the hot seat. I mean, how many things went wrong for the Steelers? Ben Roethlisberger out there calling out the whole offense, saying they're not keeping the traditions alive from the Steelers. I mean, they were really getting hammered from the football side of things, from the culture side of things. It couldn't have been worse. And guess what happens? They make it to the playoffs, and if TJ Watt is playing that game against the Buffalo Bills and Kenny Pickett gets back in the game, maybe they actually win that game, or maybe they could have won it with Mason Rudolph. I don't know. That's how close this team actually was when everything went wrong. Let's imagine a couple things go right. And you're right about Russell Wilson. Listen, is he the guy he once was? No. Is this a better team, though, than Denver? Definitely. And him being able to still throw the deep ball and avoiding turnovers is the key to this whole thing because you're not going to make the Steelers change the run-first philosophy. And I think that's fine. You're playing in all cold-weather cities in the playoffs anyway, for the most part, or in your own division, I should say. It's okay to be a run-first team. I like it.
Gosh, but here's the thing. You say win a playoff game. You understand the monsters in their division. So how are they going to get a home playoff game, which I think that, if you're talking about winning a playoff game, I would hope you'd be at home. I just think it's going to be more of the same. They're going to run in the same exact season that they had last year. Last year, they were 9-4 and playing the Cardinals and the Patriots at home and had a great chance to win be the number one seed, and they couldn't do anything. I'm telling you, Maggie, if you hope that this is going to be different, I don't think so. I think you're going to see the same sort of old school football that does not work now. I would have rather seen them, instead of hiring Arthur Smith and bringing in Russell Wilson, I would have rather seen them hire a McVay acolyte and bring in, and maybe Russell could do that, spread out the offense a little bit, get the ball to Pickens all the time, get it to Deontay Johnson.
Yeah.
Stop with the Najee Harris, Jalen Warren, all first and second down. I can't do any more of that.
You're sick of it as a fan.
I picked the Steelers to go to the Super Bowl last year, and they frustrated me so much with how conservative they were on offense. And what on earth makes you think they're going to change that?
Well, Russ, again, is better with the deep ball. Doesn't really throw in between the numbers as much, and that's kind of an Arthur Smith thing. So they're going to have to get that all worked out. Okay, it's not a finished product day one, week one. We haven't even gotten to a training camp yet. You still have the draft to get through. You still have weapons you can add and pieces you can add. Listen, nobody's ever questioned that the defense for this team is good. It's still good. It's still ferocious.
Great.
It's Super Bowl caliber.
Yeah.
So what do they need to do? Some tweaks on the offense. You got Canada out of the building. You stopped a little bit of the revolving door at offensive coordinator with two guys who stepped in to do co-offensive coordinators last year. And now, listen, is Russ a long-term solution? No. But let's really see what this team can do. It's okay. You had Matthew Stafford switching teams, Tom Brady switching teams. You've had guys win Super Bowls late in their career. I don't know if it's going to be 2, like Russ projected on the Pivot podcast. But you know what? Is he one of those guys that could belong in the same conversation with some of those older quarterbacks? Sure. He's got the pedigree. Now, this is basically telling Kenny Pickett to go kick rocks. I don't know if anyone's really crying for Pickett. It's definitely a bit on the organization that they're definitely saying, listen, we can't develop this guy.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Where do you put them in that division?
Tough, but here's the thing with that division. And the AFC North, we're talking about Russell Wilson has signed a 1-year deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yeah. Good morning. Here's the thing with that division. It's really tough. And a lot of times 3 teams do make it to the playoffs.
Last year 3 made it.
Just like last year, right.
Yeah.
And there's usually a team, I hate to say this, knock on wood, there's usually a team that just gets hurt and just kind of falls off. And that's what happened with the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yes. And you're going to have, I think you're going to have, just like last year, you're going to have a 1 seed coming out of the AFC North, a 2 seed, and then the Steelers will be the 3rd team. Then they'll be that 4th hurt team. They are going to be 10-7 in the wild card. I'm telling you, this is going to be
Russ
like the Spider-Man
game.
Well, how is Russ going to change what the Steelers do? Is he really a game changer, or is he the same thing that they've been doing? And how many years in a row since have they lost in the first round of the playoffs, or not made the playoffs with a winning record?
2016, 2017. Oh,
right.
Wait, so won a playoff game.
When's the last time they won a playoff game? 2017.
It's been a long time.
Right. So they keep on doing the same thing over and over again, which is be good enough to have a winning record or make the first round of the playoffs. I just see this as a continuation of that. And as a guy I'd love to see the Steelers be great. I just don't think this combination of offensive coordinator and quarterback is going to do it. Honestly, and it's not even going to be Russ. I bet you we're going to be cursing Arthur Smith, the offensive coordinator, halfway through the season because this formula.
He'll be an upgrade from Canada.
This sort of run, once in a while throw a deep ball formula can win a lot of regular season games, but I think it makes him a little predictable in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I just don't see it getting them over the top, even winning a playoff game in any sigsignificant way.
See, I like this for the playoffs. I like it for the playoffs more than I like it for the regular season. In the regular season, sometimes you need to put up, a 350-yard game and you've got to win a shootout or whatever. Look what happens when it gets to the playoffs. For the most part, game slows down. Defense becomes a bigger factor. Run game becomes a bigger factor. You just don't want your quarterback throwing picks. Boom. I just gave you the formula. The Pittsburgh Steelers are giving you the formula here with Russ.
Yeah, they had that formula in 2018, 9-6-1. 2019, 2020, they used that formula. 12-4 and lost their wild card game. 2021, they were 9-7 with that formula and lost the wild card game. Last year, they were 10-7, lost the wild card game. How can that formula work? It isn't working. You're right. That does sound good in theory that run and defense will win you playoff games. But how come it's not working for Pittsburgh?
Okay, so the other part of this is you get the Russ with the chip on the shoulder. And I feel like I've been doing this long enough, Perloff, and you and I have both been doing this for a long time, that we know, I think Russell Wilson is a great player, right? He had a great career. I think he is a great player. I don't think we have to go back and relitigate all the years in Seattle and pick apart every single. He should be a 2-time Super Bowl champion. I know part of it is his fault because he threw the pick to Malcolm Butler at the goal line. He should be a 2-time Super Bowl champion. Let's not forget he is a great player. And I feel like I've learned something watching sports my whole life and also working in this industry for almost 20 years, which is doubting great players when really the chips are stacked against them is a dangerous thing. And Russ got completely humbled in Denver. Now, is he a guy capable of outwardly showing that he got completely humbled? Probably not. He's not going to give us the tears. He's not going to give us the pound of flesh as the public. But I have to imagine this has put the biggest chip on his shoulder imaginable because he's that kind of guy. I think he's going to thrive off of this. And I think he and Tomlin are going to be simpatico. I really do. They're kind of similar, at least in the way they sort of project outwardly, a veneer. You're never going to penetrate this, whatever I'm presenting to the public, it will be impenetrable. I'm not going to show vulnerability. They're kind of alike in that way.
So why didn't he have a chip on his shoulder last year after that incredibly embarrassing season when he got to Denver? You don't think he had a chip after the Nathaniel Hackett season?
No, I think he did, and he had a better year last year. But I think Sean Payton, he may have gotten wind potentially early on that Sean Payton was not a fan, and clearly he wasn't.
I think that, and I actually love Russ's career, and I think he's a Hall of Famer. I think it could go the way of Matt Ryan in Indy or Phillip Rivers in Indy. Just because you're a great player with a chip on your shoulder, 35-plus-year-old quarterbacks really has been a dicey proposition. For every Tom Brady winning a Super Bowl in Tampa Bay, there's probably 8 to 10 guys who do not get a real robust second chance. And I don't think this is a robust second chance for Russ, because even if Pittsburgh, everything goes well, I mean, how often are they going to let him drop back and throw the ball? Not much. I think they're going to be super conservative with him. He doesn't run anymore like he used to in Seattle, which was his superpower early in his career.
Right.
I think he's going to be good, but it's going to be kind of disappointing for Steelers fans because it's going to be the same old, same old. We're looking at, I mean, it just feels like 10-7 with Russell Wilson is staring you in the face. And that doesn't really give you a chance to go to that next level.
Well, I don't think the regular season is what they're all going to be judged on. You know, it's finally breaking through in the playoffs. And
yeah, but why this version of Russ? I'm not sure that he has anything magical that they haven't had in Pittsburgh.
I think this is a better team. I think for Russ, it's a better team. And I think he can provide exactly the thing they've been missing. And listen, again, it's going to have to be the leadership perspective. For Russ, this is a no-brainer. I mean, you mentioned about Matt Ryan and about Phillip Rivers and guys like that later in the career, and this is no disrespect to the Indianapolis Colts, but, you know, the Steelers are one of the most stable franchises. They're associated with winning. Not that Indy's not, but,
Indy's
Indy's been pretty good.
They've had a lot of winning seasons.
And a lot of quarterbacks lately. Really shuffling through them.
Right, but Pittsburgh now seems to be following that blueprint, so we don't know. We
went from Ben to a first-round pick that's not working out to Russ. It's not that crazy of a revolving door.
I know, but I'm just saying it's just sort of beginning. They could be exactly like the Colts where they try these Band-Aid solutions. That's sort of what I'm getting at. Maybe it was time to really try something. Russ is a Band-Aid in a sense.
Yeah.
He's an older quarterback. At what point are they, Kenny Pickett did not work. Why wait to start with something new? They could have just reset. And it's not just the quarterback. Just do not ignore the coaching staff here. And Mike Tomlin himself. But does Mike Tomlin want a high-flying offense? And does he want a gunslinger back there quarterback? Or does he want an older conservative guy who's going to avoid interceptions? That's his thing. That's Russ's thing, too. Russ hates throwing interceptions. So you're going to see no risk it at all and no biscuit with this Steelers offense, Maggie. And I got to be honest, I'm getting kind of sick of this.
I get it. Well, Bruce Arians isn't walking through that door. Yeah. Even though I know you wish you would.
By the way, I don't know. Why not? Bring back Bruce Arians.
How many retirements can one guy have? 855-212-4CBS. We are on in Steelers country. Also, the Steelers are one of those teams where your fans are everywhere. I'm convinced you climb Mount Everest, there's a terrible towel up there. No one can knock me off my spot on that one. If you are a Steeler fan and you're waking up to this news right now, how do you feel? Are you elated? Are you sick to your stomach? Kind of feels like there's been both. I like it. Perloff says, get ready for more meh. 855-212-4CBS.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny that you would describe 10-7 as meh. Well, that says where the Steelers are as a franchise. No, I agree.
It's a credit to them.
I agree. It is completely meh to be 10-7 one more time. It's kind of disappointing. Like, it's about time we raise the bar for them. And I think you think they can get to that bar. I just think that it's more the same.
855-212-4CBS. We also have the dominoes that are falling as a result of this signing. Lots of quarterbacks making decisions yesterday. We'll get into all of the news, everything. We've got big weekends for certain people on this show. Big weekends. Getting a little concerned, too. A couple relationships might be getting a little too tight. It's supposed to be all of us together, you know. We'll get to that. 855-212-4CBS.
Jealousy's not pretty, Maggie.
I didn't say I was jealous. I was just saying I noticed it. 855-212-4CBS. We get it started with Russell Wilson to the Steelers. You love it. You hate it. Let us know next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. If you are in Pittsburgh right now and did not know, Steelers signed Russell Wilson last night, so get ready for more 9 and 8, 10 and 7 till the end of time. That's what I say. Maggie differs. Give us a call, 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. What do you think Russell Wilson does in Pittsburgh? Man, Mag, I don't think there are a lot of options. I think they have found their spot, and it's 10 and 7.
Winning playoff games for the first time since 2017. You got to avenge some of these losses here. 2016, I guess, the last time they won a playoff game. But I like this move. Now, here's the thing. I was dead wrong about the timing that this was all going to go down. I thought that Russ was going to be one of the last quarterbacks to sign.
Yeah.
And it turns out an informational meeting with the New York Giants and then a quick flight from Newark to Pittsburgh was enough to get this thing done.
Well, I think we ignored it. I was a little bit with you. I thought it would take longer. We ignored the price tag, which was nothing.
Yeah, $0.
Yeah, that helped.
Well, $1 million, which is $0 basically for the NFL.
No trade. You didn't have to trade anything, and you don't have to pay them. That is attractive.
Yeah, but again, it's more than that, right? Because you're bringing him in, and to me, you're telling Kenny Pickett go to the bench. Now, they're going to say this is a competition. I don't think it is. Let's go to the phones, 855-212-4CBS. Rick's in West Virginia. Rick, you still like Pickett's chances here?
Yeah. I mean, Omar Khan said last week he's the starter. I thought they brought Wilson in just to push him for competition.
Yeah, you know, when Omar Khan, Rick, said that, and thank you for the phone call, West Virginia, obviously right, very close to Pittsburgh. I thought that he was telling the truth. He said, I have full faith in Kenny Pickett and also talking to Mason Rudolph and kind of running it back, and I bought it. I think this signals a different change and a change of team.
Yeah, I mean, I think they'd already gotten nervous about Pickett because they could have put him in at the end of last season. They kept in Mason Rudolph. And the fact that Mason Rudolph probably did more with the offense, he didn't have Matt Canada to hold him back, so that helped him. But I think that they'd already started to wobble. Forget their words. You know, anything on a podium could be a lie. Their actions had already said that we're doubting Kenny Pickett. And this action, specifically signing Russell Wilson, says we do not believe in Kenny Pickett.
You see this the same way I do.
I think it's Russ. I'd be shocked if it's a real battle because I think Russ and Tomlin sat there, whatever they met Friday, and probably loved each other. And Mike Tomlin probably likes the older quarterback. He probably can't relate to these young guys anymore.
I don't know about that.
You see the dancing videos in the locker room? You don't think he can get down with the young guys?
Now,
EJ, you know he's old school though,
for sure.
Now the one thing is, the culture fit, right? Like Kenny Pickett didn't really seem like maybe he was really grabbing the locker room.
No,
but
I didn't get that sense either.
He's a young QB, so you can grow into this kind of thing. Now, Russ has already put it out there on social media. The Renegade video is already out with the terrible towels. Like, he hasn't wasted a moment.
No.
It's like Russ has been there all the time.
Has he come up with a catchphrase yet?
Oh, please, God, no. Connor's in California. Steelers country, let's ride. Hey, Connor, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
We're good. What's up?
So, my thoughts about this are like, look, it's a great landing spot for Russ. So kudos to him. However, my thoughts regarding like the actual him playing for the team, I don't think this makes them a playoff team. And the reason is because he just came at a wrong time. The AFC is recovering. They're getting way better. Chiefs are the Chiefs as always. You got Burrow definitely probably coming back next season. That definitely takes a spot in the playoffs. You got the Colts looking pretty dangerous with Anthony Richardson. You got,
Connor, blanking, but here's the thing, though. We did this last year, and we went through all the quarterbacks and the top ones, and listen, a lot of them did make the playoffs, but some really came out of nowhere. I didn't see Jacksonville, missing the playoffs in favor of the Houston Texans. Some of these things, I didn't see the Browns making the playoffs with Joe Flacco finishing out the last 5 games of the season. Wonky stuff happens.
Of course not. Of course, yeah, absolutely. And that's what I was about to say. Not every team is cemented in the playoffs. There are upsets. So things happen, And this big concern with Russ going to the Steelers is that this guy likes to hold on to the ball for extravagant amounts of time. He has a large amount of sacks. And so, he gets sacked a lot. And so is this Steelers O-line good enough to protect him?
Well, Connor, that's because he loves having the best passer rating, and he does not let the ball go to the other team.
Hero ball.
No, he likes to keep it clean like Aaron Rodgers. He will not throw a pick. He'd rather take a sack. That's facts.
Yeah.
No, Connor,
call, guys.
Thank you so much for the call and appreciate that. 45 sacks last year after taking 55, which led the league in 2022.
Well, I mean, listen, they didn't get Justin Fields who could take a sack in any circumstance. So
and walk into him.
Now, Russ is conservative. He will not throw 50-50 balls consistently.
You could throw the ball away, Yeah,
I mean, that's an Arthur Smith offense. So Ryan Tannehill, when they were peaking under him in Tennessee, before he got to Atlanta, he was really good at being very clean, let the run game and the defense win, which makes sense as a philosophy in Pittsburgh.
You're so right, though, about Russ never throwing picks. I mean, career high for a season is 13.
Oh, yeah. No.
I mean, Josh Allen can do that in half a year.
That's going to be his best Hall of Fame argument. When he goes up there and Mike Sando is representing him for Seattle, he's going to say, look how clean it is. Look at the TD to interception differential. That's Russ's probably best thing. Now, my question is, too, he's 35. We know those moon balls that he used to throw to Tyler Lockett. Does he still have that, Maggie?
I think so. Enough.
Yeah.
I think enough. I don't think this is a situation with Drew Brees and Taysom Hill where they had to bring in Taysom Hill to throw the deep balls. I don't think you have to do that. I don't even know who that equivalent would be on the Steelers.
Well, Pickett's not throwing him either.
Pat Fryermuth comes in to throw the long ball.
You have to re-sign. I think Mason Rudolph came in a couple times for Pickett. So, yeah.
Mason Rudolph comes in as the deep ball specialist. No, then you got some problems.
Well, Rudolph's a free agent. I think they're actually, some people are sad that he's not coming back there. They seem to love Mason Rudolph. As an organization, they always bring that dude back.
Yeah, they do love that guy. And then we're talking about dominoes here. And, listen, as I am higher on this Russell Wilson signing than you are, Perloff. I think they're going to win multiple playoff games with him. I like you're doing something. You're shaking it up. You're doing what the Steeler fans have been begging you to do, which you're trying to go a bit all in for this season and break that drought of not being able to get past the first round of the playoffs, for goodness sakes. It does, though. I thought the best option for them was Justin Fields. So I am a bit surprised that they didn't go that option.
Well, I always said it's not a great fit in the sense that you have a lot of talent at wide receiver, and Fields runs a lot. He's actually would have set the rookie record, or like maybe the all-time record for running by a quarterback. So that's a lot of reps that don't go to George Pickens and don't go to Deontay Johnson.
You're right.
I think that's a bit of a worry. A little the same worry with Russell. Russell wasn't really feeding the receivers in Denver. That could easily be a function in Denver. Yeah, that's right. I want Pittsburgh to open it up a little bit more, and I want to let Russ cook here. I don't think that Mike Tomlin is going to let him cook.
Andrew Bogusch is here with headlines. Good morning. We've got lots of them.
We do. Maggie, good morning. It's all sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Looking for a career path with flexibility and great pay and benefits? Go to progressive.com/careers and apply online today. If you sat courtside at Knicks Sixers, but they combined for the fewest points in an NBA game in 8 seasons, did you really sit courtside at Knicks Sixers? Philly, a 79-73 win at the Garden. If you ignore scoring those 79 points, Philly was basically flawless, says Nick Nurse.
We were on point. We were physical. We were doing everything we were supposed to do. We turned them over 20-plus times. We were fighting like heck for rebounds against a team that really rebounds. And basically, we were just fighting and executing the schemes really well.
Whatever scoring happened, most of it came from Kelly Oubre, 18 points plus 10 boards for him. Anthony Davis had 27 points, 25 rebounds, 7 steals, 5 assists, 3 blocks. The Lakers down the T-Wolves 120-109. Many played without Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert, not because he got fined $100,000 for his actions towards the officials back on Friday. Gobert making the money sign at ref Scott Foster, then criticized their work post-game. He didn't play last night because of a sore right hamstring.
As soon as I heard, they think he's making references to sports gambling, I knew he was going to be sitting regardless of whether or not he was suspended or not.
Oh, that's the one thing that could get you in trouble with the NBA?
Yeah.
That's the bridge too far. I kind of love it, though. He's kind of saying what everyone thinks about Scott Foster.
Yeah, the NBA has no problem putting still employing Scott Foster, putting him on Chris Paul games when they have a legitimate personal beef. But Rudy Gobert rubs his fingers together, and he's created mortal sin.
Just what were the calls between Donaghy and Foster? Release the tapes. Are there tapes? Probably not.
Russell Wilson, not the only QB making news this morning. Kirk Cousins expected to test the open market, which kind of opens at noon Eastern today. He will remain in contact with the Vikings, so maybe they try to match something Cousins finds from another team. Baker Mayfield staying in Tampa Bay, basically a 2-year, $50 million deal. And the Pats are trading Mac Jones to the Jaguars for a 6th-round pick. If Jake Paul, Mike Tyson ain't your thing, can I offer you South Carolina and LSU in the women's SEC title game yesterday? 6 players ejected for a late-game fight. South Carolina's Camila Cardozo tossed for fighting, which should bring a suspension for their March Madness opener. South Carolina head coach Dawn Staley did not like any part of it.
I know if they had a chance to do it all over again, they would do it differently. But now we have that. I just don't want the people who are tuning in to women's basketball see that and think, that is our game, because it isn't. Our game is a really beautiful thing. And to be quite honest, this is a part of it now. So we have to fix it and we have to move on.
So you could say that, apologetic, thoughtful, or you could say this. Here's LSU head coach Kim Mulkey postgame.
No one wants to see that ugliness, but I can tell you this. I wish she would have pushed Angel Reese. Don't push a kid. You 6'8". Don't push somebody that little. That was uncalled for, in my opinion.
5'10" to me is big, by the way, but that's Mulkey on.
Listen, she wants weight classes in this thing.
Yeah.
If you're going to do this, got to make sure weight class for weight class and height for height that this thing, she wants a real brawl.
Yeah, now she's talking about what was the kind of the main fight of this whole thing, and if you haven't seen it yet, it begins with a foul. The first two players involved don't like it. Flau'jae Johnson then kind of shoulders a South Carolina player as they're separated, and that's when Cardozo comes in and knocks Johnson to the court, and Johnson's only 5'10". Cardozo is 6'7", 6'8". That's who Mulkey is referring to. At one point, Johnson's brother then comes jumping out of the stands.
Oh, that's who that was?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Into the fracas. A police officer is right behind him, so he gets out of the way, which all brings us now to Angel Reese post-game.
We're not scared of South Carolina, and I'm going to repeat that. We're not scared of South Carolina. And a lot of people are scared of them, and we came in and battled and battled and battled and battled and battled to the end. And, of course, we came up short, but we'll see them again.
South Carolina won the game 79-72 to win the SEC, and they reached the big dance undefeated. The delay to sort all of that out, and again, 6 players ejected, was 15 minutes. The next game on ESPN, I think, was the Pac-12 title game, and I think the whole first half wasn't on TV.
Oh, wow.
Because that game took so long to finish.
That was a fun finish, though. I mean, can we get, Cardozo and Angel Reese, the undercard for that Tyson-Jake Paul fight? I feel like maybe this is lining up for something cool. By the way, that LSU South Carolina game, just 1 point off of the Knicks 76ers game from yesterday.
Wow.
Women scored 1 point less. Yeah.
But both of them were actually closer to wrestling matches than basketball games.
And they had that in common, too.
I like to remind people that Angel Reese, the whole controversy around Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark last year started with Angel Reese being upset that she thought Caitlin Clark was disrespecting this South Carolina team. This team that she now says that they're not afraid of, that they were ready to fight on the court yesterday. So I'm like, I thought you loved this team.
The enemy of my enemy.
Yeah, no, what the hell's going on with that?
Also, Angel Reese walked away from all of this.
Yeah, she was kind of limping away.
She was on out. And there's a referee, too. If you guys seen the great still shot of, one of the referees is as things really heat up, she just walks away. She's just coming out of bodies like, get me out of here. And she stands at midcourt and watches the rest of it all play out.
It's like, not my job. Oh, wait.
Well, quote Floyd Mayweather, who also skirted away from a brawl that happened during one of his fights, I'm not messing up with my money. That's what Angel Reese decided, and it was a smart decision.
I'm not betting against Angel Reese. I feel like she's super tough.
You should see Cardozo.
Yeah, no, not
She's
in the
the one
fight.
who banked in a three to beat Tennessee, the first 3 she made all year in the semifinal.
I'm talking the women's tournament. For some reason, obviously LSU is not, a better team than South Carolina. I think Angel Reese and Kim Mulkey got something going on. I am a little scared of them. Because I'm feeling I've been studying the women's bracket. I'm going to do terrible in the men's bracket this year. I'm getting the women's bracket right. Are you guys nervous betting against LSU? I feel like last year they sent a message like postseason, they're pretty tough.
I don't know. They just poked the bear a little bit more with South Carolina.
Yeah,
though.
but I watched South Carolina, Tennessee, and I don't know if South Carolina, they're undefeated, but are they that much better than everybody else?
Well,
it just doesn't feel like LSU is as connected as they were last season. I think some of that had to do with how Kim Mulkey handled the Angel Reese, whatever that was, suspension.
We still don't know.
Mystery benching, who knows what happened.
Oh, right.
And I think that they haven't really felt that connected since. But honestly, this was the most connected I feel like I've seen them all season.
Maybe this spurs them on to be like last year.
So maybe there's something different. I do agree with Perloff that Angel is a fierce competitor. I mean, she's grabbing hair, which, obviously you don't condone, but she's one of those people that's kind of like, I'd rather fight till I die or win. Like, that's kind of how she plays, and I got to respect that at least.
At one point, she's grabbing one chick's hair while elbowing the other. It was like, you're like Uma Thurman in Kill Bill. You're like you're taking out, you're ninja. Multiple people are getting messed up. Anyway.
On the men's side yesterday, a number of automatic bids began going out, including Longwood defeating UNC Asheville in the Big South, 85-59, second bid in 3 years for them. Stetson won the A-Sun tourney over Austin Peay, first ever trip to the big dance for them. U.S. women's soccer, a 1-0 win over Brazil in San Diego to claim the first ever Women's Gold Cup. And how about Pete's Islanders, a 6-game win streak after a 6-1 win in Anaheim. They now jump the Red Wings for the moment for the last playoff spot in the Eastern Conference.
That's right.
Hey, Pete. Maggie, back to you.
Bogusch, thank you. A lot more to unpack from what we saw yesterday, both on the court and courtside.
Oh.
Get to that.
Yeah. I think we have to have a come to Jesus moment about these tickets that EJ and I enjoyed.
Yeah, well, congratulations. You guys got to pull up on the lowest scoring game the NBA has produced since 2016. It's almost a decade.
I mean, who's having the moment of reckoning here?
Well,
those that don't go or those that do go?
We'll talk about it.
Uh-oh.
Lots to unpack today, but the quarterback carousel continues to turn. More dominoes falling, including another big name finding a home. We'll get to that next. 855-2124-CBS. Don't move. Maggie Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Quarterback dominoes falling all over the place. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Russell Wilson signs a one-year deal in Pittsburgh, Perloff, and we've talked about that. We'll get more into it. But he was the only player who was putting pen to paper yesterday. Baker Mayfield re-signs with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's a gaudy number. You can get to $115 million, but it is $50 million guaranteed. It's essentially a 2-year commitment, $30 million for the first year, $20 million for the second year. And listen, Tampa Bay came off a great season by all accounts. You know, make it to the second round of the playoffs, and Baker played well in the playoff games. To me, though, this signing equaled congrats, you're in mediocrity. I didn't love it.
But what are you supposed to do? You have an old core here. You know, you just signed Mike Evans again, which was probably a smart idea. You can't start over here because the timeline wouldn't match up with all the veterans you have on this team and a young quarterback, especially because you can't draft high. So I think they had no choice but to look at this 2-year window and say, you know what? We bring back Baker Mayfield and we're going to be good, maybe not great, but great wasn't on the table here.
Yeah, I guess maybe this is my personal expectations for them are really low. I don't know if they're guaranteed to be the best team in their division. Let's see what happens with Atlanta and see what they do with the quarterback situation. So I don't know if you're going to be the best team in your division. I'm not expecting you to go to the Super Bowl. So congrats. You've got this sort of bridge, kind of Band-Aid, whatever it is with Baker. It doesn't break the bank. But this is what I would do if I were Tampa. I'm not stopping here, right? I'm still drafting a quarterback. Obviously, the first round is probably out the window. You're picking 27th or something, late in the first round. But if I'm in the second round or the third round, I'm still trying to find my next guy here. I'm realizing if Kyle Trask was going to happen, it would have happened already. He had an opportunity to win the job in camp, didn't do it. Let's get some new blood because there has to be life after Baker unless you think he's your quarterback for the next 10 years.
Yeah, but if you take a quarterback in the third round, is that franchise altering in any way? I mean, the Lions took Hendon Hooker coming off an injury a few years ago, and I was just thinking about, what happened to Hendon Hooker? I don't think second or third round doesn't mean you're ever going to see the field for that team. So I'm not sure that really moves the needle.
No, I think second round, is a little bit better.
Kyle Trask has done nothing. He was a second round pick.
But maybe you're getting into the Jalen Hurts, Jimmy Garoppolo type of thing where, all right, now I actually have somebody. Hurts, obviously, at the highest end. And Garoppolo did have his moments, obviously, going to the Super Bowl with San Francisco. So I'm hoping for someone like that to come along.
I think we overestimate what second round quarterbacks do because of Jalen Hurts and Jimmy Garoppolo. I think for every Jalen Hurts and Jimmy Garoppolo, there's probably 10 Kyle Trask that we don't even realize. No, it's not a bad plan. I mean, I think the other plan was don't pay for Baker Mayfield. Go, say, Justin Fields, a young guy, or draft, say, Bo Nix is there at 27. Get a guy in the first round this year, which, by the way, might not be off the table. You're only really committed to Baker for 2 years.
Right.
Probably off the table, but maybe they could have gone in a totally different direction. But what are you going to do with guys like Godwin and Mike Evans? And I did see a headline they might bring back Levante David, the linebacker who's been playing since I was in middle school. I feel like they have the bones of that Super Bowl team still there. I think that they had no choice to be good but not great.
So this is, I think, where you get yourself, if you don't draft a quarterback, we're talking about Tampa Bay, committing to at least 2 years with Baker Mayfield. It's not a big shock, but just kind of meh to me. But here's the thing. This is the danger, right? The danger is you don't start trying to develop a quarterback behind Baker. And then you get into this thing where he's good enough, right? Maybe you're winning the division every couple of years, making the playoffs, whatever. And you're going to get into this cycle where you're going to keep paying him. And it's going to still look maybe like a good deal because you're not paying him the top of the market. But, okay, so you're going to just keep Baker and just keep paying him, and you just sort of stay in this kind of limbo as opposed to really trying to reset and really trying to get your quarterback of the future.
Totally makes sense, but this is not the year to reset. Okay. Because, first of all, you're turning down a possibility to win the easiest division in the entire league. I just think there's no choice. You can't have Mike Evans and not have someone to throw it to him, and Baker at least could do that. I think you'll know. What you're saying is you're worried that it's going to be 5 more years of this 9-8, 10-7 kind of football. They'll know when time is up. They got 2 years here with Evans and Mayfield and see what can happen.
You know, this is also the thing that happens once a team wins a Super Bowl. You know, once you win a Super Bowl, I think you get a grace period, right? And you get this, you want to do right by the core that got you there, which is, okay, we're just going to keep a guy who's got some experience and, you know, we'll try to rip one off here and maybe like everything breaks our way and we get another one with this core. And
by the way, their coach is Todd Bowles.
You're fooling yourself.
Yeah, their coach is Todd Bowles, too. Let's not discount that. Do you see that guy winning a Super Bowl? He is just way too conservative for me.
Well, he did win one as a defensive coordinator.
Yeah, it'd be great as a defensive coordinator, but he actually gets to make the fourth down decisions and all that stuff.
And they are boring.
They are just so conservative. It just feels like more of the same.
That is true. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. So we've got Kirk Cousins out there. We've got Justin Fields out there. We've got all these quarterbacks. The legal tampering window opens today at noon Eastern time. And, of course, we have Russ going to Pittsburgh on a brand spanking new 1-year deal. Russ may have well paraded his way to Pittsburgh. Like, tell me the last time Russell Wilson flew commercial, walking through a concourse of a major Northeast airport, taking selfies with people.
Well,
a little on the nose.
I think we missed. Was that during the show on Friday? I feel like we missed what was actually happening. That he somehow got a favor to get into the Giants building, because I heard a lot of people saying, why is he I actually heard this whole conversation. Why is he flying through Newark when he probably has a place in Manhattan and could have gone through JFK? It didn't even dawn on me that the Giants would be meeting with Russell Wilson. How would that have looked?
Well, an informational meeting. I mean, it was basically a step away from a summer internship. That's how it sounded. They interned with the Giants this year.
They gave him a tour of the building.
Yeah, right. And this is the weight room. I think that, listen, you know that the Giants are in on trying to get another quarterback, right? This is apparently an open secret at the Combine. And that escalated fast, too, because people are like, oh, they regret everything about Daniel Jones. Like, all right, be easy. You're the ones who gave him the $40 million. He didn't steal it from you. You know, like you handed it over. So
he is a Duke guy, though. They're easy to dislike.
They're easy to hate.
The rumor, though, was I think that was all setting up the Giants putting that out there to draft a quarterback, not to sign a 35-year-old quarterback.
I think that's probably what it is, right?
Yeah,
They're picking 6th. They're not in love with Daniel Jones anymore. And, you bring Russ in for the informational meeting. It's like, hey, we're turning over every rock. We're turning over every stone.
They barely even tried to get that message out there. I think this was a favor to Russ. I think somebody in the Giants organization knows the Russell team, because that would have been a bad fit. That would have been really bad. Pittsburgh is much, much better than New York Giants. Can you imagine Russ going from that Denver fiasco to, I think, a really talent-deprived Giants team?
Oh, definitely. I mean, especially offensively. I mean, Jalen Hyatt is, I guess, year 2. Who else are you throwing to? I mean, they're going to have to make some major upgrades. Saquon Barkley may not be back.
Darren Waller might retire.
Oh, yeah. Right. And by the way, if you're thinking about it this hard, Darren Waller, take the weekend and then just take the rest of the career. Because, you're not coming back. And even if you are, how all in are you?
You're not coming back to New York. I'd retire, then go back to some other team if I was him.
It doesn't take a darkness retreat to figure this one out, dude. You're 2 feet out the door. And, you got Andrew Thomas as a left tackle, but the rest of the offensive line is pretty bad. I mean, it just wouldn't really work for Russ. Now, you talk about favors. let's not forget, there was, that whole thing about the minority owner for the Pittsburgh Steelers is in business with Russell Wilson.
Right. I don't think that
Literally.
factored in here. I think it was Mike Tomlin and Russell Wilson being on the same page.
Yeah.
I could just see them liking each other. Again, I think Mike Tomlin, he might dance in the locker room or whatever. I think he's old school, and I think Russell presents very professional, kind of old school football guy.
He's 35. I get that.
Yeah, and I think for Tomlin, I think after what happened last year, sort of going through that whole, Tomlin was remember he was on an island defending his offensive coordinator, Matt Canada. I just think that this is a better situation. I think he's going to be happier. He's not going to have, hopefully he won't have the wide receivers complaining all season long, although that seems to be a Pittsburgh Steelers thing.
It's their MO.
Unhappy wide receivers. So I think for Tomlin, this is a much better situation.
Okay, so let's put it out on Twitter, EJ, if you will. The Russell Wilson, Pittsburgh, great idea, terrible idea. And it can just be that simple, I think. And while you're there checking out our social media, you may notice if you follow any of the members of the show, particularly Perloff and EJ, two of them had a bit of an outing last night.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, was that some amazing date you two went on, because front row seats at the Knicks game, I'm telling you, front row. Like, if guys had been dunking in that game, it would have been like right on your heads. I mean, a really cool experience for both.
There were a million turnovers, and somehow the ball only came to us once.
And I didn't know if I was able to pick it up and throw it back to Kelly Oubre or not, EJ. So I sort of half-handedly tapped it to him.
I've never seen a man so afraid to touch a basketball.
It was so weak. It was pathetic because because we had another friend who was 2 seats away.
Yeah.
EJ, you care to share your buddy to your left?
Pretty rich guy, pretty influential guy. I don't know, fan of the show, but James Dolan was 1 seat between me and him.
Okay, so you guys are literally sitting 2 seats over from James Dolan. That's not just Madison Square Garden. That's the Sphere in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
That is Radio City Music Hall, the Rockettes, like all this stuff. He owns everything. Super powerful. Rangers also. So who was in between you two?
So I kept trying to figure that out, and I haven't looked it up yet. I think that was his son.
You didn't introduce yourself? Hey, EJ Stewart.
I think the guy was annoyed I was eating popcorn and spilling all over the place.
Yeah, by the way.
Wait, what?
And my buttery hands, I don't think he wanted to shake my hand.
Yeah, what's the deal with the popcorn, EJ?
Why were you spilling it?
I'm not good with popcorn.
Well, I'm just saying, you were getting buttery popcorn on the court where the Knicks were playing.
No. They have enough injuries.
It was on the sideline.
Jalen Brunson kept going on the baseline. What if he had slipped on your popcorn and been injured for the season? It would have been a Larry David Curb Your Enthusiasm situation.
Oh, I know. It would have been, honestly, it probably would have been good for the show if it happened, but terrible for me and terrible for the Knicks. I'm not good with popcorn. So once the popcorn came into the equation, there was no interaction was going to happen. It was going to be just sit here and be quiet. The one thing I will say is sitting front row, that was probably the most well-behaved section of fans I've ever seen at a Knicks game. Like,
you're 2 seats away from the owner. Right. He'll throw you out.
It seemed like everybody who knew sitting not just next to us, but behind us, who was next to us and to not do anything. There was one guy who randomly was upset anytime Buddy Hield got it open 3. Besides that guy, who was maybe 10 rows up, nobody said anything in our section.
Yeah, because Dolan's like he's like, it's a totalitarian government in there. He will throw you out. And you will get banned from the building.
Charles Oakley got banned. You think EJ can't get banned?
Yeah, EJ, you wouldn't be allowed back on 33rd Street. So the Oscars were last night. Yeah. So you had a lot of celebrities who are clearly at that event. We'll talk about the big mishap at the end of the show, the Oscars, that is. So who were the celebs?
By the way, thank God EJ was with me because I would not have recognized this crew without him. EJ,
we had Quavo. Quavo was there. We
had
Meek Mill was there.
Okay, of course. The 76ers.
Jim Gaffigan was there.
All right. My mom's favorite.
Yeah. The couple of us comedians. Tracy Morgan was there. He's always there a bunch.
Yeah.
It was a pretty good group.
Toby from West Wing is there every game I'm there.
Toby from West Wing.
He was there as well.
Richard Schiff, I think his name is. He's always there. And Matthew Modine, they sit together. But there was no Ben Stiller, who I've never not seen him in a game.
He must be at the Oscars.
There was no Spike Lee.
Also at the Oscars. All the Hollywood people are going to be in L.A.
Yeah, so I actually thought Dolan would be in L.A. and we could have, relax and put our hair down, but not so much. And by the way, Maggie, you would think, I've been to a lot of these games, second row, I would play it cool. I was such a nerd. I'm like, oh my God, we're going to the court, EJ. And I try to pretend like this happens to me all the time. I've never had a seat like this. Amazing. And, maybe I'll try and bring other members of the show down there. If EJ behaved, we're invited back.
There you go.
Bilotti, get ready. Coming up, more Fallout, the quarterback carousel.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
She was the Heisman Trophy winner in 1986. He left her off the ballot. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Well, that didn't take long. Russell Wilson signs on the dotted line, according to Adam Schefter and ESPN. He is a Pittsburgh Steeler. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. If you're just waking up, you might just be getting this news. Yes, it's going to be Russ and the Pittsburgh Steelers for a year at least.
Yeah.
And Perloff, I'm high on this move. You know, I do like it. If you're in the building and I'm not in that building, and you realize you want to move away from Kenny Pickett, you don't think he can be developed, and you want to go for it with a Super Bowl caliber defense and try to shake things up with Russell Wilson, I'm all for it. I wish teams would go all in like this more than they even do. So I'll applaud the Pittsburgh Steelers today.
All in. This is the single cheapest quarterback in the history of NFL free agency. $1 million and no draft picks.
Yeah, but he didn't have a big market.
I'm just saying all in feels like trading Jared Goff and picks for Matthew Stafford. This is feels like bargain shopping to me. And there's a reason I think that Russell was available like this. He's older. He's shown that the thing with Russell is he's slowed down physically so much. He cannot run like he used to. I saw an old Seahawks highlight the other day. I'm like, oh my God, who's that quarterback? He was not in Denver. And I don't know if that's by his choice or really he's lost his speed. But it's going to be a different quarterback. I think it's going to be a very conservative quarterback here, especially with new offensive coordinator Arthur Smith, who's already conservative. So if you like the Steelers to run the ball and play defense, you're going to get a lot more of that.
Listen, I got a news flash for you. It doesn't matter who was back there. That's what they're doing. So it could be anyone who's back there. They're running the ball and they're playing defense because they realize that's where the bread is buttered. And you might as well get somebody who, like Russ, can throw the deep ball better than Kenny Pickett can, or with more success than Kenny Pickett has had in the past, and get somebody who doesn't throw picks. You know, give your defense a chance to set the tone. Give your run game a chance to win, because let's be honest, everybody, this is not about the regular season. The Pittsburgh Steelers get out of bed at training camp and make the playoffs. They don't go, the winning record, not going below 8-8, and you can't do that anymore anyway, because the schedule. This is not about making the postseason. This is about finally winning a game in the postseason. You know, it's been since 2017. This has got to end. And if you didn't think it was going to end with Kenny Pickett, then you know what? You got Russ in the building. You didn't want Justin Fields. Okay, this is the plan B. Don't think about the future. Don't worry about the future. You're not tied up to this guy. So go out there and try to get to at least the AFC Championship game and then see what happens.
AFC Championship game. So now we're going to we can't even win a wild card game. Now we're in the AFC title game. Why this team compared to every other? You know, you basically had younger pieces around you and more talent around you. I just don't see it. I think it's going to be more of the same. Yes, maybe a winning record, maybe 9-8, 10-7. But you just look at the AFC. There's so many good teams. Why this team with Russell Wilson would stand out? Listen, I made the mistake last year. You said Kenny Pickett can't throw deep. He threw deep in the preseason and fully looked like Jim Kelly in the preseason. It was amazing. So I think it doesn't matter, like you said. It doesn't matter who's the quarterback here. They're not going to be calling a modern NFL offense, and it's not going to win in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of history on my side here. First of all, Russell hasn't won a playoff game in forever himself.
That's true.
Since 2019, he won a wild card game. And the Steelers haven't won since 2016. It just feels like much more of the same to me.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. So this was, a stunner to me that it came together so fast. I thought that Russ was going to be waiting around a little bit. Bad job by me. I believed when the Steelers said they had full faith in Kenny Pickett. Well, that turns out to be a bold-faced lie. You're not bringing in Russell Wilson and saying, all right, you guys are going to compete for the job. You're going to say that on the surface, but Russ is going to win that job. And you basically said, all right, goodbye, Kenny Pickett, because after, the third season that a guy's in the NFL, you have to decide on the fifth-year option, and there's not going to be a way to evaluate the third year of Kenny Pickett if he doesn't play this year, if Russ wins the job. This is basically a little bit on how to screw up a rookie quarterback playbook, just a tad for the Steelers, not as bad maybe as the New England Patriots did with Mac Jones, which we'll get to later in the show. But, they didn't really, I don't think, gave him a real full shot, but.
Well, I mean,
Bye-bye.
You could argue very easily this is on Kenny Pickett. He has not produced himself. So this is the NFL, Maggie. By week 9, you don't think we're going to see some Kenny Pickett? This is not a predictable quarterback league. And not because Russ plays badly, but especially in this division, everybody gets hurt all the time. I have a feeling Kenny Pickett's not done. I think we will see him on the field this year. Look at last year with the Steelers. You really didn't know who was going to be quarterback. It was Trubisky for a little while. That was a disaster. It was Rudolph. It was Pickett. I think that Kenny Pickett's story is not necessarily done
Okay,
here.
I think the only way that Pickett gets on the field, though, is by injury.
Yeah,
it's not going to be for play.
And but that's what I'm saying. Listen, 17-game schedule. It's going to be tough to keep Russ upright, especially if Russ really wants to prove a point and it's going to keep plays alive. I just feel like we'll see Pickett in that mix at some point.
So Russell Wilson has signed a one-year deal, reportedly, according to Adam Schefter. He signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and Russ put it out on social media with social media posts because this dude just can't help himself with the Renegade song, with the terrible towels. He always leans in. Like, Russ can't sit one out. He's like that friend that decorates for every holiday. It's like, you're an adult. Why are you putting up,
Russ will always be Russ.
He will always be Russ. Now, I'm thinking Russ chip on his shoulder. And Russ chip on his shoulder, a guy who has been great, who finds himself in this awesome opportunity where you can rebound and resuscitate not just your career, but your reputation with one of the great franchises historically that the NFL's ever produced.
Yeah, I mean, I would argue that Russ has had a chip on his shoulder since he got benched for Mike Glennon at NC State. I'm not sure that his incentive to win is any different. Last year, he had to be all in. Sean Payton gets to Denver. I'm not sure what difference that makes. I just worry about the team and their offense. What do you think the catchphrase will be? I threw out some things over the weekend.
Oh, what do you have?
Well, I have this image of a steelworker hammering a piece of iron, a red hot piece of iron. So something like keep hammering or keep pounding.
Keep pounding has been taken.
Yeah. And it's been like 4 or 5 different teams and people have used keep pounding. Keep hammering. Although
keep hammering.
All of them like sort of came out R-rated, some of the ones I came up with. I got some. I can find them later. People had some stuff on Twitter.
What was the R-rated one?
Well,
keep hammering?
Keep pounding.
That's a good start right there.
Keep pounding.
Keep pounding. I mean, it's R-rated. Like, it's the Carolina Panthers have that like on this big drum.
Yeah, and he has a celebrity wife, so people went there. I'll find some of those, but he's definitely got to come up with something good. Remember when he was doing Let's Ride in Denver and he accidentally said "Go Hawks" at one press conference? It's really hard.
What is he, senile?
It's really okay. Let's ride. Let's ride. Here's one. Okay, here's some. Forge ahead. Stay hard. See what I mean?
Oh gosh.
I don't know.
Stay hard. I'm done with that one.
Well, I told you because I put keep hammering out there.
Wait, what's the non-R-rated Stay Hard? How is that ever supposed to be taken in a different way?
Stay up, like I don't know, whatever. This one is
like a Viagra commercial.
Feel the pipe, okay?
What?
Let's steal one.
What kind of mood were you in when you were writing these?
I didn't write these. These are all the fans.
Oh.
Steal it. Let's steal. Let's smelt. That one I don't think is going to go anywhere. Let's smelt. Rolling coal. Actually, there's a let's weld. Forge on. That's pretty good. That's from NW Sports Better. Forge on. That's not bad.
Let's weld. Guys, what are we
thank
doing?
you. Last question, Russell Wilson. Yes, I do plan to find Pat Fryermuth more. Let's weld. It's going to stick.
It doesn't exactly roll off the tongue. Let's weld. Anyway.
No, you got to say it like, let's weld.
This is probably time for him to retire the catchphrase at this point. Nothing's going to work for the Steelers.
Yeah.
How about this Man of Steel?
See, that's what I was thinking. Superman reference.
Okay, again, we're going away from where we need to be. We need less individualism, if we will, from Russ. We need a little more team. A little less, here's my parking spot and my office and my trainers, and a little more, I'm one of the guys, but I'm leading the guys.
He also can't say any of this before actually winning the job. Because I think there will be some kind of competition.
No.
He's already. I mean, I love this, honestly, this move, but he's doing a lot for a guy that is not QB1 right now.
The social media post I thought he should have done without, but he can't. Again, he can't help. He's like somebody who decorates his house for Arbor Day. Like he just can't.
He's a marketing mastermind to some degree.
Yeah.
Like
EJ, you're wrong. He'll totally come out with a catchphrase before he wins a job.
Oh, I think he will. I'm just saying he shouldn't. He shouldn't. Like you want to show that, hey, you're a different guy. No catchphrases until you actually win the job.
Yeah. You're right, and that's smart, and he won't do that.
Here's one more good one. Let Russ cook pierogies in parentheses. It's not bad. I love pierogies.
Yeah. Just like Russ, I would like fries on that. I don't know. We're workshopping.
Let's weld.
Let's weld.
It's going to stick.
That's so bad. Kevin's in Oregon has a thought on this upcoming quarterback competition, air quotes, between Russell Wilson and Kenny Pickett. Good morning, Kevin.
Good morning. I wake up this morning, having my cup of coffee, feeling really good, and then you tell me that the Hall of Fame career of Kenny Pickett might be over.
Oh, I'm sorry.
How about this?
Let's weld.
This? Russell the Steel Muscle.
Russell the Steel Muscle. I like it, but you can't give yourself that one, right? These are, and he would.
He probably would. Thanks.
Thank you, Kevin. Let's weld. Now I can't stop thinking about it.
It totally rolls off. What do you mean it doesn't roll off the tongue? Let's weld.
I'm going to tell you one of the worst things that Perloff ever. Do you remember? I wonder if you even remember this. Do you remember we were at our very first Final Four as a show?
Right.
New Orleans.
Yep, that was fun.
It was Coach K's last ride. Coach K, they'd made it to the Final Four, North Carolina, Duke, Kansas. Who was the fourth team that year? UCLA, Gonzaga? I don't remember now. Anyway.
Don't know.
I think it was Jaime Hawkins' senior year.
You're saying the Kansas, North Carolina year?
Yeah.
That was Duke and Villanova.
Villanova was the final.
I'm
was
pretty
the fourth?
sure, yeah.
Okay, anyway, it was Duke, North Carolina that played in the semifinal. We have Kevin Kugler on from Westwood One, who's calling the game. And you were like, I have your final Coach K call.
Yeah, that was great.
And you gave Kevin Kugler, what was the bad call you gave him? And it almost got stuck in his head, and he almost did it.
It was...
Coach K's okay.
No, was that it?
Yes.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, that would be great.
Kevin's like, he's hemming and hawing. Farrell's like, no, Coach K's okay.
He's like, keep your day job.
And I think it almost got stuck like a little wormhole in Kevin's ear.
It does roll off the tongue. Coach K is okay. Nance would do that.
Meanwhile, North Carolina won the game, so
yeah,
it didn't matter.
Coach K is okay. Let's weld. If you say it enough, it's going to stick.
This is we're predicting the Russell Wilson Steelers, now that the deal's done, his new catchphrase. And Perloff thinks it's going to be Steelers country, let's weld.
Is welding enough of a steel term? I've been Googling it. Welding can be anything where you stick two pieces of metal together using heat. Is it close enough?
I think we get the connotation.
Because let's smelt is getting some momentum on social media.
I doubt it. Let's smelt?
Smelting, yes. Let's smelt.
I don't think it has the same ricochet. Big Easy is in New Orleans. Got a thought on what we saw at the end of the SEC championship game on the women's side, and that was bit of a brouhaha, a little brawl. Escalated with about 2 minutes left. South Carolina ends up winning the game 79-72. Good morning, Big Easy.
Good morning, Maggie and Perloff. I got one statement about the game and one question.
Okay.
The statement about the game is I felt like LSU should have never been injected. The ref actually came on and said all the players that came off the bench but did not get into the brawl, they're ejected. That made no sense to me.
Yeah, but Big Easy, we know that. You can't leave the bench.
Well, I just don't feel like it's a good rule. There's are rules out there that nobody seems to like, and that's one of them.
Listen, take it up with the Phoenix Suns. It cost them a trip to the finals.
Right. Well, I just feel like LSU, they're going to get another shot at that. I feel like there's no way they're not going to intertwine again. But anyway, I'll just let it go on that. I have one question for you, Maggie.
Yeah.
Are you worried about, because I know y'all coming down here for the Super Bowl, are you a little worried about the fact that Joe Burrow got his start here, everything started? He don't lose in the Superdome.
Oh.
So I'm just saying for your Buffalo Bills, you're not worried about the whole, this is where Joe Burrow got started. And,
the script, you mean? The
What's
NFL
that?
script
Yeah.
to get Joe Burrow and
Yes, the
Jamar
NFL
Chase.
Chad Ochocinco
this
actually
year-
put that out there.
He did. You know, Big Easy, I got 99 problems. That's one of them. But I got 98 other. Yeah, if you're talking about from the Bills' point of view, the Bengals are a problem. The Chiefs are a problem. The entire AFC North is a problem.
The fact that you don't even have a full roster right now is a problem.
That might be, that's part of it.
Yeah, I noticed 9 guys left. Where are the 9 guys that are coming in?
Can't afford them. Miami's a problem. Aaron Rodgers is probably going to be a problem.
Ooh.
And maybe now Russ, I said the whole AFC North, but let's drill down on it. Now Russ with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Listen, here's the thing about that. The expectations are going to be there. This is not Baker Mayfield in Tampa. That's not a Super Bowl expectation. For Russ, wrong or right, this is an expectation of Super Bowl is like right there. I mean, winning a playoff game's got to be a no-brainer. When it's the Steelers, just making the playoffs is not good enough.
Well, I mean, the expectations were actually huge last year. When I picked them to go to the Super Bowl, they were 4th in odds, and now they're 12th. So I think last year was a big expectation. I think a lot of people are going to be like me and were burned by the Steelers last year. We're not probably be a good bet because I think people are looking at that AFC and saying even with Russ, it's just, you have to be so over the top to get out of this conference right now. He's right. I would be worried about the script and Joe Burrow. There's so many things. I feel much more. I'm an Eagles fan. Being in the NFC is a good place to be right now, Maggie.
Yeah, I know. Grab your pina colada. I mentioned just the AFC North alone. And
don't forget the AFC South is on the rise as well.
Totally. I mean, you got Houston is a rocket ship. You got the
Shane
Colts.
Zeichen's an amazing play caller.
Do you think you're really keeping the Jacksonville Jaguars down and Trevor Lawrence for another year?
What's the other team in that division?
Well, the Titans.
Oh, yeah, the Titans. They actually, but then the Titans will steal a bunch of wins at the end of the season. This is a brutal conference. So I disagree. I do not think the Steelers win a playoff game because it's the AFC is the number one reason here.
I think we should put out a poll again about what will the Russ catchphrase be? According to Andrew Perloff, Steelers country.
Let's weld.
Our own Andrew Kaplan has put steel appeal.
Steel
See, it feels
appeal.
more like a headline. Like something you read in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette.
Yeah. You can't say steel appeal. Feel the pipe?
Or what did you say?
By the way, I just wanted for the record.
Stay hard? Now I said it. Now you got me on record. Crap.
I was reading someone else's comments. Yeah.
Wait, but is Let's Weld yours or someone else's?
No, this is all other people.
User generated.
Yeah, I couldn't come up with something as brilliant as Let's Weld.
My pick is Stay Steel Tough.
Stay steel tough.
No, it's too many S's.
Or just Steel Tough.
Steel tough.
That's better.
Yeah, I got nothing for you.
Pittsburgh.
Now I can't get Let's Weld.
Steel Tough.
I can't get Feel the Pipe.
How about Pine Needles in the chat says Steelers country. Let's mill.
All right.
I like that better than Weld, to be honest.
Let's mill.
By
the way, the great Peter Schrager has a suggestion that he tweeted to Perloff. I could read here.
Oh, go ahead.
He said, "Let's forge." That is his pick.
Let's forge.
Let's forge.
What would yours was forge ahead?
No, I didn't have anything. I just put. Oh, I think I. Stay hard.
That was his pick.
That one's gonna win, by the way, in a landslide.
Feel the pipe. Is that bad?
Should you not have said that?
Okay. I just put out, Russ said, go Hawks and let's ride. What would he say if he landed in Pittsburgh? I did not throw anything out there. And I got 175 responses immediately.
99% of them are let's stay hard.
No.
let's weld hard.
A lot of them are let's steal money, by the way. I didn't read that.
Well, he's really stealing it from the Broncos. What's that?
Well, let's start.
Yeah, right.
Let's start. That's a more accurate Russell goal. Let's start.
All right. Bob's in Erie, Pennsylvania. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning. Doesn't matter, by the way, great show.
Thank you.
Doesn't matter who the Steelers puts back there as a quarterback until they get an offensive line that'll block and give that quarterback a little bit of time so the play can develop. Nothing's going to change.
You know, but here's the thing about the offensive line. Didn't the left tackle, the draft pick, he was terrible in camp, but didn't he come along a little bit as the season? Broderick Jones, didn't he start coming along just a little bit? He's your right tackle now.
I understand what you're saying, but I'm just telling you, if you watch those games, there's no time for anything to develop.
Got it.
You can't throw to a wide receiver if you can't get down the field. That's one of the big things.
Yeah.
Because the quarterback's running for his life constantly.
Bob, I get it. Offensive line play. It all starts in the trenches. Let's weld.
Was that a Pittsburgh accent?
Yeah, kind of.
Or was that an upstate? I can't tell.
No, Pat McAfee does a Pittsburgh accent.
Yeah. And what's the word, Yinzer and all that stuff?
Yeah, Yins.
Yeah, that was actually, he sounded like a Steelers fan. I have heard that too. So it's interesting. Broderick Jones, he's really good against a run is the take on him, but he's underdeveloped as a pass protector.
Okay, it was
but
only going his second year.
It's hard to tell because of the way the offense was run last year. It felt like they would hand the ball off on first and second down, so whoever was the quarterback would be in 3rd and 8 all the time. Then Trubisky would throw a 7-yard pass into the dirt on 3rd and 8.
How about something like Steelers country, iron sharpens iron, or something like that?
Yeah.
Hot metal.
Isn't iron different than steel?
Is it?
It is a different metal.
I'm sorry.
No. Steel is prepared iron. Iron and steel are the same metal, right? Steel is what happens to iron. You take iron and you make it into steel. And I hope I'm wrong. I'll sound like an idiot if I'm wrong about that.
I mean, you could be right. I thought they were different. I mean, I know iron's on the periodic table. Steel is not. I don't know what that means, but that made me assume that iron is different.
Man, I'm married to a mechanical engineer. I should know
steel
this.
Is what happens after you sort of do all the stuff to iron. It becomes steel. And steel is what you could actually use. That's why you have Pittsburgh, basically, to turn iron into steel.
Yes, steel is an iron-based alloy containing carbon, silicon, and manganese.
Yeah, but it has other stuff in it.
Steelers country, let's manganese. Steelers country, alloy, something.
He had it right the first time, alloy. I remember.
Let's weld.
I remember, second year. What? I guess that's chemistry.
Yeah.
Got that right.
You guys ever seen the movie Flashdance? A very Pittsburgh movie. I'm sure EJ has not seen it. Because,
no.
Yeah.
Apparently, there's a lot of things I didn't know. Maggie asked me a question in the break.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to get to that next. Something from the Oscars last night that got, every time I see this person on camera, I just get like a little excited. And there's this one person, I wonder if there's someone like this for you guys out there, Sydney Sweeney, but for a different reason. Just like every time I see them, because they're so talented, and because if I'm watching them on TV, they're probably going to like do their craft, put it that way. And I just get like a little excited.
Nice.
And I asked EJ, and he had no idea who this person was.
Well, not only did I not know who they were, I thought you were talking about someone totally different.
Yeah.
Which would have made no sense for the Oscars,
And
by the way.
actually, weirdly ties back into Pittsburgh.
It does.
We'll get to that in just a moment. Let's stay hard. Yeah. You have that forever, ladies and gents.
Oh, no.
Just pass it out to all the affiliates. 855-212-4CBS, who we say good morning to, by the way. And we're obsessed with you.
And we say, feel the pipe.
Stay hard.
I love the question mark at the end.
Oh, no. This is Russ's fault.
You're welcome, people. 855-212, drops for days.
Stay hard.
855-212. Steelers country, let's weld.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Back on Maggie and Perloff. So I missed the Oscars last night because me and EJ were basically on the Knicks Sixers bench. We were so close to the game.
Wild.
That explains the score.
What's that?
That explains the score.
Yeah, I tried to tell Tiz to get me in. I can hit a jump shot.
Yeah, so were we sitting? Quavo, remember when he high-fived me?
Well, I think he only high-fived you to get out of the way of all the dozens of fans I was trying to get past to get a hand on him. It was crazy. There was so many people. I don't know how twice we got
stuck with Quavo.
Stuck with Quavo, basically.
Yeah, Quavo hit me in the head by accident because he was trying to get through the crowd who was basically pawing him the whole time.
Yeah, like, I think I have a concussion.
Didn't he win an Oscar?
Quavo?
Didn't Migos win an Oscar? Or am I thinking of I'm thinking of 3 6 Mafia.
Oh, 3 6 Mafia.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so we had a great time, but I missed the Oscars. I understand there was a cameo that made you very excited, Maggie.
So forgive me, maybe this is my age, bogus. I'm curious, Pete, if you guys get excited. Every time Slash comes on TV, I just get a little excited.
Yeah.
So just a little excited. He was playing guitar in the Ryan Gosling sang the song from Barbie, I'm Just Ken, and they brought out Slash, and they brought out Wolfgang Van Halen. And,
is that who that was?
Yeah. And,
okay.
And someone else, another musician. I'm forgetting. Anyway, so I said to EJ, I'm like, I don't know, you're a little younger than the rest of us. You know, do you ever get excited when you see Slash? And he goes, Cordell Stewart?
Look, last name, we're talking Steelers.
Yeah.
I legit had no idea who Maggie was talking about, so I assumed it was Cordell, and I figured it was probably going to be wrong.
Yeah, Cordell Stewart appeared at the Oscars last night. I don't know. Slash the guitarist, not Slash Cordell Stewart.
The actual Slash was at the Oscars last night.
Put some respect on Cordell Stewart's name.
Yeah, I'd be curious. Where's Cordell now? He came out a lot last year when Colorado was good.
We had him on the show.
Yeah. I've been excited for both Slashes. I think you can embrace both Slashes.
They're both good. Only one shreds guitar, as far as I know. Maybe Cordell also does guitar. Am I the only one here, Pete, Bogish, Perloff? Like, there's something about Guns N' Roses.
It's always good when he's on the stage. You know the song's gonna be good.
Right.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, he's the best.
He does have that kind of lame commercial where he's trying out for the band on the insurance commercial that runs all the time.
All right, everyone gets a pass.
But he looks exactly like he did in 1989, which is awesome. And
yeah, because he's wearing the hat and he's got the hair in front of him. That could be anybody under there. We just know it's Slash because he's playing guitar.
He's like a wrestler in face
You're saying that there's more than one Slash?
It could
be like Pat McAfee. We're convinced he's got clones. Just there's no way that's just one guy. But I was wondering about Slash's hat. So it looked like there was maybe a little dust on it last night. Like, is that the one hat he's had since 1989? No way, right?
That would be awesome if it was.
Considering all the drug use in his past, there's no way that could be the same hat.
If it had like a Stanley Cup container, it traveled in a big hard case with the foam cutout just for the hat to keep it shape.
It's like Clyde Frazier's suits. They look like they're new, but they're from 71.
Yeah, right. I imagine there's a closet somewhere that has like a hat stand, and it just has like a halo of light around it, and it's the hat.
I wonder if it's, because of good luck, he wouldn't be Slash if he didn't have that hat. By the way, that whole production was, it's the only thing I watched. I watched a clip, but that was insane how well they pulled off that song.
It was great.
It was amazing.
And Ryan Gosling, is he a really good singer-performer?
Yeah,
of course
he was on the Mickey Mouse Club with Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera.
I forgot about that.
Still a terrible cornerback, though, as we talked about.
Remember the Titans?
Yes.
Yeah. Can't play corner worth a damn. Guy can sing and dance, though.
Awesome. Love that for him.
Mark Ronson was the other guy there.
You got to put him in zone at cornerback. You cannot have him
out on an island.
Playing a lot of cover two with Ryan Gosling on the corner.
Put him in a pink suit, though, up there, shimmying, shaking. He's awesome.
No, I thought... Go ahead.
His nickname was Safety Help in that movie. Go ahead. Sorry, brother.
I think he's made a career switch. I think he's given up football, so you have to keep breaking him down. But I thought Maggie was going to go with naked John Cena as the thing that got her most pumped up last night.
I sent that photo, a still of it, to these guys, and I was like, whatever, enjoy the game. I'm watching the Oscars.
I watched this, I'm like, what am I watching? I was already in a daze being courtside at Knicks game. I go to my phone, I see a naked John Cena picture. I'm like, is this real life?
So it was a great bit. It was a great bit that John Cena's naked giving out the award for best costume design. Great bit. So they showed photos of him backstage. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was, maybe there was a sleeve on the front, but his butt was out for sure.
No, it was a flap over the butt. Just a little one.
I saw from the side, so you could just see his cheek.
No. There was a flap over the butt just to make sure that there was no crack.
Oh, okay.
And it's like, let's see how I put this. Like football players' pants seem to have an extra insert in the back.
Yes.
Because they were actually having the same situation the baseball players are dealing with, and they fixed it in the NFL. Mm-hmm. That's what John Cena was essentially wearing.
Okay.
Like a diaper.
Okay. I actually thought John Cena, I'd seen him about 3 months ago, and I thought he looked a little puffy. I'm like, oh, wow, is John Cena losing that body? I was wrong.
Perloff, you're a terrible judge of this stuff.
Yeah, he's in a new movie on Prime called Ricky Stenicki, and I think that he goes up and down a little bit. I think he has cheat days.
John Cena?
I don't think so, man.
Wrestling just not that long ago.
So, by the way, you had Cena and you had The Rock. So, I think The Rock, this all started because I said to these guys, I always get a little excited when I see Slash on TV at any point in time because I love Guns N' Roses, and that sort of hits in a special way for me. And EJ is younger than us and said, oh, Cordell Stewart? Like, no, he wasn't at the Oscars last night as far as we know.
Should have been.
Slash. But the other thing is, I used to get that way about The Rock. anytime The Rock would appear outside of wrestling, be like, oh, cool, The Rock's here. What's going to happen? But now The Rock's so oversaturated, I kind of expect him to show up to everything.
I don't know. Why don't we ask him? I'm sure he's out there promoting some spring football league right now.
He's in the break room right now. There's The Rock. He's everywhere.
We'll see him next month, so.
Okay. So I'm the only one who gets excited about Slash.
I would have been excited about Cordell, but sorry.
No, Slash was fun, and it came out of nowhere. They hid Ryan Gosling.
Yeah.
I was thinking are they doing a costume change because he was underneath all those Barbie heads?
Yeah,
and instead they clear, and he's bro hugging Slash.
I know.
That was great.
Who were the women singing? That was Margot Robbie and Kate McKinnon. Was it the Barbie crew?
When he walked into so the first woman was Greta Gerwig, the director.
Oh, okay.
Emma Stone was in there too. And then he kissed the hand of the cameraman, walking him back upstage at the end of all that.
And who was that?
Just the cameraman.
Oh, that was just the cameraman.
Meanwhile, Greta Gerwig looks like she could play center for LSU.
Yeah,
she's huge. I mean, I'm sure she must have been in heels. She's super tall. I think actors are also just miniature people.
That too.
Very miniature.
I prepared for the Oscars. I tried to watch as many of the movies as I could, and I watched this movie called Poor Things with Emma Stone that Andrew Bogus told me about.
Oh, Bogus said it was great.
My favorite movie.
Do not watch it with the kids, however, because
of course not.
That is shockingly adult. I would tell you, I was
Perloff, they
bashful.
said there's aggressive nudity in it. What were you doing watching this with your kids?
There was a lot more than aggressive nudity. Nudity is John Cena at the Oscars. This was, how would you describe it, Andrew?
So, I mean,
Keep pounding.
I too was shocked by, but I also didn't have
Stay
my
hard.
kids sitting next to me.
Yeah.
Wait, is this why they were saying that her performance, Emma Stone's, was brave?
It was beyond brave. It was actually flat out. I would say
pornographic.
It was so pornographic,
And it was a surprising amount of nudity for someone of her stature.
Yes.
So you want to get that second Oscar?
I guess.
You gotta.
Well, I was wondering, how could she ever do more movies now? We've seen everything there is to know about Emma Stone.
Oh no,
She's naked.
That bad, huh? I haven't
She's
seen it.
naked and performing 40% of the movie. Would you say that's right?
40%.
40 sounds like a lot, but it's definitely far more than I ever would have expected. She get the over easily by halftime.
Put that on today's list of things to do.
Yeah. But again, it's a lot of
Pete,
weird.
clear your afternoon.
Movie is great. It is really creative and funny and interesting.
Sounds
too.
like it.
No, actually, it's funny because the movie, it doesn't ruin the movie for some reason because the whole Mark Ruffalo is outstanding.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it would be ruining it for most of the men.
Yeah, it sounds like a party.
So I understand Robert Downey Jr. won for
Yes.
Oppenheimer. I don't get
Lifetime
that.
Achievement Award.
Lifetime, it's always a life. You always tell me that. Don't get caught up with the Oscar awards. There's a lot going on there.
It's all political. And Robert Downey Jr.'s never won one, and he's been in Hollywood since he was like 10.
So it's giving it to him for Iron Man. Why does he have to win it for a bit role in Oppenheimer?
He'd be the only person to ever win for a comic book.
Is that right? EJ, I know you don't comic
besides Joaquin and what's the name?
No,
Heath.
but Angela Bassett won.
Oh, she did win for Black Panther.
She did because there's a great John Mulaney bit at the Oscars, maybe from last year, where he says that's like somebody winning a Pulitzer for a Reddit thread.
I don't think she won though.
Winning for I think she won Best Supporting Actress for Black Panther. I've seen his joke about her winning an Oscar for Black Panther.
Oh yeah, you're right. Best supporting actor. I don't know why I forgot that.
Meanwhile, Mulaney was good again.
He was.
Yeah, and referencing Field of Dreams, and it was great. Bogus has headlines.
I do.
Sorry, that was a little weak on the exposition. He made a great joke and lands on Field of Dreams. Then he just goes through the plot of Field of Dreams and goes, actually, that should win Best Picture this year. Forget these nominees.
But I think they'll pick one
By
from
the way,
this year.
Angela Bassett did lose, by the way, just to be
Oh,
clear.
she
Yeah,
lost.
I thought she lost and everyone was mad.
She talked about the disappointment in losing.
Oh, so maybe they made the joke is she got nominated?
She got nominated, yeah.
Okay.
And
my
she
bad.
lost, actually, to
I remember
Emma Stone's upper half.
was very upset that she didn't win, and a lot of comic book fans. So
I'm surprised.
Which they started this stupid Reddit joke, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, Michael B. Jordan should have. I don't know did he get nominated for that movie?
I don't know if he got nominated. That was also ridiculous.
That's unbelievable. All right, sorry. Now we're going to go Oscar snubs. We could be here all day.
Instead, let's do Steeler Nation. Let's smelt. Russell Wilson is coming to Pittsburgh, at least for 1 year and almost no money, since the Broncos are still paying him $38 million. Kirk Cousins, we'll see what's out there on the open market, which opens at noon Eastern today, but reportedly remain in contact with the Vikings. The Jaguars will send a 6th-round pick to the Patriots for Mac Jones, apparently, and the Bucs about to pay Baker Mayfield $50 million guaranteed dollars over the next 2 seasons. The Philly exodus continues. Meanwhile, Fletcher Cox retiring after 12 seasons as an Eagle, and longtime safety Kevin Byard is signing with the Bears. By long-term, I think it was 8 weeks that he was in Philly. But
long-term in the NFL.
That's true, but not as an Eagle. The Bears are now saying they'll contribute $2 billion towards a new lakefront stadium in Chicago, no longer focusing on that suburban site in Old Racetrack. They bought up the land for that.
Does it get a roof?
That's all I care about.
You know what? I don't know if I don't remember reading about a roof.
Okay.
Cap was saying it looks like they will, but I'm still skeptical. I support all teams that build stadiums with new roofs.
Which will be first, the Las Vegas A's or the new Chicago Stadium? Because it feels like we've been reading about both for a decade right now.
The A's seem closer to reality.
But again, it's the A's.
Until they're playing baseball in Las Vegas, I will not believe it.
I mean, you can talk about it last week, but I mean, that you want to talk about stadiums that look like a fairy tale. I mean, you see the renderings of what they want to do with that stadium?
Yeah, it looks like the Sydney Opera House.
Yeah, I mean,
up against the Strip.
It's basically the sphere.
Wow.
The sphere is a baseball stadium. I don't think that's going to happen. No way.
I think it's going to be Steelers country. Yins ride.
That was like an old Western accent too. I don't think you quite.
Yeah, that would fit more. That would fit more in Colorado than in Pennsylvania.
Right, sorry.
Anthony Davis says the Lakers are nearing their peak.
LeBron one-on-one against Conley to wrestle for 3. In and out. Another rebound for Davis and another putback for AD. It's one of the best games I've ever seen him play.
John Ireland on Lakers radio. Davis, 27 points, 25 rebounds, 7 steals, 5 assists, 3 blocks in a 120-109 win over the T-Wolves. LA has won 12 of 17, is 6 games over 500 for the first time in almost 2 years, but still sits 9th in the West. Caitlin Clark, 34 points, 7 boards, 12 assists, 1 huge steal late to drag Iowa past Nebraska, 94-89 in OT to win the Big Ten tourney. And the NHL suspending Flyers head coach John Tortorella 2 games plus a $50,000 fine for this.
He's a 50-goal scorer. Bench minor unsportsmanlike penalty and a game misconduct.
Wow. So now they've given Torts a bench minor and another misconduct on top of that.
I think he said game misconduct.
He did. Let me translate the hockey for you. Game misconduct means ejection, which would require Torts to leave the bench.
Wes McCauley, I think, just mentioned the motion to Tortorella. Hey, you, go. He's going, no, I'm not leaving. Going. Well, you're not going to win that one.
This is unbelievable. McCauley is saying, you got to go.
I'm not.
This is unbelievable.
All of that from Bally Sports. They did not lip read Tortorella saying bleep you, bleep off more than once and pointing to the ground saying I'm staying.
That's mild for him.
The standoff lasted 2 minutes.
Oh my
He finally
gosh.
then left, and again, 2 game suspension and a fine.
Leave.
What's the point of
John Tortorella just
not
always
doing that?
thinks everyone's there to see him. I'm sorry.
No, like, what's the point of not leaving once you get ejected? Like,
To make a big show out of it and be a headline and be John Tortorella. He's done this at the 4 other places that he's coached before he got to the Flyers.
It feels like there was no upside to that situation, and now he's suspended. I was watching this clip, and he looks. First of all, he's got this weird cast on. I don't know how he hurt his hand. I don't know if he punched a wall or something. But then also, I'm like, he looked like he thought he was going to win this. Like he was like,
oh no, coach, it's cool. Stay.
Yeah, that's what it looked like.
We take it back. You guys like Tortorella?
I think they should fire him and hire Peter Laviolette or one of these. Because there are only 3 NHL coaches, so what are you going to do? They all just
Lindy
rotate.
I think Laviolette's the Rangers head coach. I don't even remember anymore. They're all interchangeable.
Yes, he is. I'm actually looking at a list of head coaches, and there are several of them, but this seems like the same 3 guys.
Yeah, just give me a dark-haired white guy in a suit.
Angry.
Yeah.
And Tortorella wasn't even in a suit. He was in like a weird sweater, which even that was also confusing me. I'm like, are they allowed to do that now?
It was also a reunion in that night because they're playing in Tampa, a reunion of his 04 Lightning Stanley Cup team. So all those guys were in a box watching, laughing at him doing this. But you ask, why does he do it? They were laughing in a I love that guy laugh, not like what's he doing, because the players think he's insane for them.
Yeah.
So they rally around it.
Congrats, you're the Patrick Beverley of NHL coach. It's like what?
Yeah, that worked 20 years ago. Hasn't worked since.
You want to go upstairs and have a drink?
Maybe that's
probably
it.
did.
Oh, Pete cracked it. He wanted to get out of there and go up to the sweet party.
Then why did he fight to stay so long then? I would have been like, all right, cool, bye.
He sold it. He oversold it.
Want some chicken tenders and fries? Go upstairs.
Yeah, doth protest too much.
Have some fajitas.
By the way, talking about food, going back to that Knicks game,
Don't tell them.
Wait,
EJ,
save it.
Don't, EJ, don't
Save
tell
it,
them.
save
Don't
it, save
even
it.
tell
What else
them.
you spill on the court?
Because for some reason, EJ apparently has a problem eating popcorn, even though you're a grown adult. And also, I know you guys got the VIP access. So let's save it because I want you to be able to tell us exactly what you had.
Skirt
and all the
steaks.
stuff.
It's a bad idea, EJ.
Oh,
We're already getting looks in this studio. If we tell them what we ate, it's going to go
Look, the look
south.
that Julius Randle gave me on the bench, I'm not afraid of anything at this point.
Weren't exactly eating con hot dogs.
Also, I wouldn't trust those hot dogs. Bogish, thank you. Appreciate it.
Good to see you, Maggie.
Great to see you.
Hi, Bogish.
And you, Pete.
Top of
Everyone.
the morning, Pete.
Team watching the Oscars over team watching an NBA game that barely cracked 150 points. I had to think for a sec. Okay,
Good math.
coming up. Quarterbacks, changing teams. Got the latest for you in just moments. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break.
I don't see a read. I'll go back if there is. I didn't. Okay.
45 seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Well, somebody, two people in fact, courtside at the Knicks game last night. Thank you, Dr. Positano. I'll thank him on your behalf, Perloff.
The best.
Your ticket connection.
Now I love him.
You're just about to break both ankles just to go see Dr. Positano
My
and
ankle's
say
a
hi.
bit sore. Now I'm wondering if I should go take a visit.
Become friends with him. So you guys got to go to the Knicks game, straight up front row seats. You're 2 seats down from the owner. You're right by the Knicks bench. Yeah. But that's not all. As if there could be more.
Dr. Positano has been so generous, and he's a brilliant man, and he's given me unbelievable tickets before. But these were different. When you're on the court, you get to go to this sort of free food area, and I actually tried to play it cool, and I thought it was free, but I wasn't sure if you had to pay, because EJ said, do we have to pay for that? So all you could eat sushi.
Wow.
All you could eat crab legs.
Wait, is it free?
Free.
Yes, it turns out to be free.
Totally free.
But wait, there's an amazing twist at the end of this.
Okay.
There's wild boar. I had this wild boar. They had this crazy.
How do you eat that? Sliced?
It was sliced wild boar, kind of like steak.
Okay.
There was quail. There was all sorts of interesting game meats. It was all unbelievably well done. The food was incredible. But then EJ goes to me, yeah, I thought it was free because Gallo was down here the other day.
Anthony Gallo got to go to the fancy seats?
Yes, one of our digital people, Anthony Gallo, also was apparently in these seats. He said he had lobster. So I was looking for the lobster. I didn't see any of that, but they were crab legs.
How did Gallo get? I thought we were celebrities. It was us, Quavo, Meek Mill, Jim Gaffigan, and I guess Gallo had been there the week before.
Gallo's getting in there. I don't know. James Dolan is letting everybody in now. Maybe we need to get Maggie back in.
What a reversal. Wait, so now you guys think that some of the shine's been taking off this because someone else at the office also got...
Little bit. And I've been to
you guys thought you were special.
I still feel good because I was courtside. I don't think Gallo was courtside because it seems like they let even the people in like the first rows that are in like the bleachers, they also were coming down and going in. So I guess there's more people who get access to it than just people sitting front row.
So here's a question. You guys talking about your gallivanting with all these people. I see no selfies. I see you two, the picture of you two. You didn't ask anyone for a photo?
Well, the times I ran into Quavo, he was being ushered by like 50 security guards, so I couldn't ask him.
No. You don't sit there and you don't. If you're there, you're supposed to be an important person.
Yeah.
So people ask for selfies with you. Now nobody asks for selfies with us, but that's the kind of seats they are. You don't ask fellow members of Celebrity Row for selfies.
I don't know. That's usually against it because I've been out with Perloff and. Believe me, people ask for photos. People shout your name. I'm being serious. Like you can't go anywhere with you.
You too, Maggie. But this is you don't ask for selfies at the Garden.
What if you had asked Dolan for a selfie? I bet he would have taken it. No one's asking that guy for a selfie. You'd be like, "Hey, love the band."
There were a couple people taking photos of Dolan.
Oh, there were.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, it's his house. You really kind of feel that. There were a lot of people milling around to try and get
suck up to him.
Yeah, and it's interesting to me.
Some of them look like employees, though. It looked like there were people like going up there to ask him stuff.
Yeah. Here's a question.
Or give him information, which was interesting.
Sorry, you're so close to the bench. Did you hear any like good player interaction?
Big time.
Well, yeah. Well, the whole bench yelled at Deuce McBride to take the ball out, and Deontay DiVincenzo dropped an F-bomb. I was like, geez, can we relax? Like, Josh Hart also just giving it to the referees the whole game, which we see on TV, but it was interesting to see it in person. It was very nice, though, to see a lot of nice father-son moments with the Brunsons. That you don't see as much on television. But
really, considering Jalen Brunson was 1 for 9 from 3, I would have thought Rick would have been on his ass a little more.
Rick apparently didn't give him the right advice in this game, but he was talking to him a lot. That was interesting. One other thing, too, that I told Perloff, Tibbs, a Converse guy.
Yeah.
Wearing Converse.
Yeah, it was like an upscale Converse.
One funny moment. Somebody yelled or said, "Mo Bamba, tuck in your shirt." Mo turns around and tucks in his shirt and says, "Thank you." The Sixers center.
Didn't get a uniform violation. Well, he saved him $5,000 right there, which I'm sure he wouldn't even notice. So, yeah. Coming up, Steelers country.
Let's well.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's destined to get knocked out by Jake Paul. She's destined to film it. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Good morning, Pittsburgh Steelers fans. You have a new quarterback. His name is Russell Wilson. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. It's a one-year deal for now, Perloff, but he's being brought in as a quote-unquote competition for Kenny Pickett. Listen, I don't think this is a fair fight. I think the Steelers want Russell Wilson starting week 1. He's now the face of the franchise. Kenny Pickett, take a seat. And I'm actually high on this move for the Pittsburgh Steelers. You see Kenny Pickett. You know what's going on in the building. If you've given up on him and you don't want to pair him with a new offensive coordinator and really throw your weight behind him, then bring in Russell Wilson. You got a Super Bowl caliber defense. Let's see what he can do.
Well, the Steelers have been very consistent. They've basically had a winning record every year under Tomlin, or at least 500. And lose in the playoffs. What is changing? It's the same thing. It's a conservative offense and a great defense. Why is this going to be any different? And the new offensive coordinator, Arthur Smith, is as conservative as they come. He's a run on first down, run on second down kind of guy. And Russell Wilson probably is used to that from Seattle. But to me, this is the same formula. So if you have the same formula, why would you expect a different result?
Okay, I like this because it's okay if you're the Steelers to be a run-first and defensive-oriented team. Because, yes, you have kept making the playoffs. What's been missing, really, since Big Ben started tailing off at the end of his career, you need some competent quarterback play. And you know what? I'm not here for the Russell Wilson slander like he's completely washed. Let's get that out of here, okay? The first year with Nathaniel Hackett, comedy of errors, that entire team, terrible. Last year, not terrible, guys. Not terrible. And the reason he got benched had nothing to do with play. It had to do with contract. They didn't want him getting hurt and owing him even more money than the Broncos already owe him. So, listen, it's the good fortune here of the Steelers. Listen, did I think that Justin Fields was probably the better upside longer-term solution? Sure. But you know what? The market on Justin Fields doesn't seem to be materializing very well. So go with Russell Wilson, and let's see what this team can do.
Well, the NFL has spoken on Justin Fields. You're right. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of demand there. But we know what he can do. We know exactly what he can do. We know what Pittsburgh can do. They are going to have a I'm looking at their schedule. They do have a third-place schedule, so they have some easier games here. But it just looks like I'm going win by win, sort of Mike and the Mad Dog style. I got 10-7, Maggie. Well, I got 10-7, and I got losing at Kansas City in the first round.
Okay, but you know what? This is not about the regular season. It's really not. And
but why would you say Russ is any different in the postseason? He hasn't won in the playoffs either.
He is not, but give me a quarterback in the postseason who's not going to turn the ball over. That's what I want on my quarterback. And Russ still has the ability to throw the deep ball. Get the ball to Pickens. Get the ball to Deontay Johnson. Let the run game do the thing. Let the defense take over games and win you some games. Why not? I mean, I applaud the team for shaking it up a little bit, because if you're not sold on Kenny Pickett, then why should the fan base be? And if you don't care to know what year 3 is with Kenny Pickett, then why should the fan base care? So bring in Russ. Is it a bit of a Band-Aid? Sure, but you might be able to catch lightning in a bottle, and you get most likely the most motivated Russell Wilson. Not that he's ever not motivated, Perloff, but if you're talking about a guy who's trying to get his Hall of Fame career back on track, this is a perfect marriage. No egos. Can't allow it to happen. Not at this point in his career.
I see what you're saying. So he won't have his own office like in Denver. I think he had a chip on his shoulder the last couple of years. And the truth is, if he is not running like he used to, he's just not as effective a quarterback. Remember in Seattle, he wouldn't necessarily lead the league in quarterback rushing, but in fourth quarter, when they needed a first down, he would always turn on the Jets. He would save it for the end. Now, we saw last year, there were plays, I thought he was stuck in quicksand when he was going for the first down. I'm like, Russ, why are you moving so slowly? So I think it's a matter of age here. If you take that element away from him and you have this offensive coordinator, I'm not sure they're special enough. And they were pretty clean. I'm looking at the box score of the Buffalo game that they lost in the playoffs this year. So Mason Rudolph had 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, 22-39, 229 yards. But they ran the ball a million times and got nowhere. So their style is just too conservative for today's football game. And I just don't think with Russ, they're going to say, let's open up. Seattle didn't let Russ cook, and he was there a decade. All of a sudden, they're going to let Russ cook?
See, I don't think so. I think we're past that point with letting Russ cook. I think you can let Russ sous chef. I don't know. You can let him simmer. You can, Steelers country, let's simmer. But the thing is think about it, right? If what you just lined out there, and we're talking about Russell Wilson signed a 1-year deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Good morning if you haven't heard that news yet. If they're asking their quarterback to do very little in an Arthur Smith offense, right? Run the ball, be conservative.
Some play action, like it.
Throw in between the numbers. Why not just stay with Pickett? I mean, clearly they didn't think that Pickett could even execute what is not exactly the world's most explosive offense. Also, I'd like to think that, you evolve, you change a little bit, or, considering the pieces around you. So you got someone like George Pickens. I hope Arthur Smith isn't like, well, we're just going to let him sit out there. Try to get him the ball.
I think you just hit the main question. Will Mike Tomlin, don't even talk about Arthur Smith, will Mike Tomlin evolve? Will he tell his offensive coordinator, hey, let's do something here. Let's open it up like we did in 2014 with Antonio Brown and all those guys. I just worry that Tomlin is a bit of an issue because even he will put brakes on the offensive coordinator. It's almost like he liked Matt Canada because he knew Matt Canada wasn't going to move the ball. It was going to be a slog of a football game. So I worry about this marriage. I think Russell Wilson, you're right. He's going to do what the coaches want here. He doesn't have really anything to stand on his own leg here. So he's going to do what the coaches want, and Pittsburgh's going to say, we want to win close, conservative defensive games. And that formula has just not been getting them where they want to go. And I think that's why Pittsburgh fans are so frustrated over the last 6 years.
No, I get it. However, who knows how to win in this division? And it's not easy. The AFC North is a bear. We all know it. It's physical, and the teams are good. And Mike Tomlin has figured out, no matter who the quarterback is, for the most part, he's able to keep this team afloat, keep them relevant, keep them in the hunt, and keep them making the playoffs for the most part. So he would probably say, listen, I figured this out, not you. What am I going to bring, a high-flying offense? We're going to try to beat everyone 42-37? That's not going to work in this division, and he knows it.
It works for Baltimore. They beat everybody.
But their
they beat
defense
everybody
is the number
42-17.
one scoring defense in the league.
Yeah, I know, and it didn't work in the playoffs. They only scored 10 points when it came down to Kansas City.
Yeah, and Russ had an all-time terrible game. Excuse me, Lamar.
You're probably right, but I do think, obviously, you could make the argument you're going to have to, at some point, win a mini shootout. You got Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, and Deshaun Watson in your division. We'll see if Watson could get healthy. But listen, there's a lot of firepower there.
Well, to me, it's actually more about Baltimore defense, Kyle Hamilton, et cetera. You've got, Myles Garrett, and you've got Lou Anarumo. Like, that's who I'm looking at if I'm the Steelers.
You're not looking at Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow?
No, I am, but if I'm thinking about
Kyle
the defense,
Hamilton?
I'm talking about the defenses. These are going to be tough games to win. But love to know how people are receiving this news this morning. Russell Wilson, I'll admit, I thought this was going to take a lot longer for us. I thought we were going to go through the draft, and he was going to have to, sort of, lack of a better term, kind of pimp himself out to all these different teams and take all these different visits. Not the case. He has one sort of informational meeting. What was it? Exploratory. Yeah. Basically almost got an internship with the New York Giants, and then goes right to Pittsburgh and signs on the dotted line.
I didn't know it at the time. I was kind of with you. I thought that he would have to go through a few weeks to see where everybody landed. But that price tag must have been so enticing to teams. Even the Giants might have said, you know what? We don't have to give up anything and paying $1 million. This is sort of the TJ Maxx of quarterbacks right now. And
I do love him.
We're looking at some of the numbers that are going out there, what Kirk Cousins is probably going to make at some point today, maybe later this morning. I can understand why not paying a veteran quarterback is enticing. When you look at these quarterback deals, short term is good, Maggie. You're not going to get caught like the Cowboys are probably going to get caught with Dak Prescott. So this is a no-risk situation for Pittsburgh. I will give you that. If it doesn't work this year, what's the big deal? You move on, and you probably draft a guy next year. So there's very little risk with this. I think that was very enticing and maybe why it moved really quickly.
Yeah, the only downside of that plan is if this thing just goes okay, not great, not terrible. You find yourself in the middle, and you're drafting like 20th again.
Yeah, and maybe eventually they'll get the right quarterback at 20. Or maybe it's a little better they draft 24th, 25th. Again, I just don't see them winning a playoff game. This will be really fun to sort of unfold. Then again, the Broncos, I predicted they would be really good 2 years ago. I thought they were going to be in the mix. I think we all kind of did. When Russell first got to Denver with that Nathaniel Hackett team, it looked like there were stars everywhere, and that went nowhere.
But see, think about how this is different, right? We're talking about Russell Wilson signs a one-year deal with the Steelers,
right?
And that news broke basically overnight. You know, that Denver situation he walked into couldn't have been worse. You know, first-time head coach, new ownership, questionable about the weapons outside of Cortland Sutton. And now you're not walking into that. The Pittsburgh Steelers are the picture of stability. And I know that can sometimes make people think they're kind of stuck in neutral at times. But picture of stability, ownership, head coach. I mean, this is impenetrable kind of stuff. And you have better weapons than you have in Denver.
I disagree. He came into Denver in a team that had an all-pro left tackle, a great defense, and a high second-round pick in Cortland Sutton, a first-round pick in Jerry Jeudy.
Judy's now gone to the Browns
I
for basically nothing.
But I think you're sort of doing Monday morning quarterback here. We thought that Broncos team was going to be great. It was all set up for Aaron Rodgers. That was the plan all along.
The defense actually was good that first year, even under the Nathaniel Hackett had nothing to do with it, of course.
But they had a great... They had everybody around them was perfect. They had a star running back, Javonte Williams. They had a lot of receivers. They had tight ends. Like everything looked good for Russell. That's why a lot of people had them in the Super Bowl, and it just didn't work. So I'm just warning you. We might think everything looks good here. The weapons are better, but you never know, especially with this offensive coordinator who doesn't like to use the wide receivers.
It's true. Terrible health luck that first year. Javonte Williams gets hurt, right? And I don't remember if Garrett Bowles got hurt.
I'm sure they all did. Everyone in Denver gets hurt every year.
I know, which is really a shame. But, again, things went really badly for the Pittsburgh Steelers last year by their standards, right? Infighting potentially, coach getting fired in season, and it was actually long overdue with the offensive coordinator. Pillar of the team, legend of the team, Ben Roethlisberger calling out the team, calling out the offense. I mean, all these things. Mike Tomlin maybe was on the hot seat. I mean, all this stuff went wrong, and they still made the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, the floor for this team is not rock bottom. It's not like Denver where they got embarrassed. I don't think that's going to ever happen.
No, but again, I do get a little worried about over-optimism with Russell Wilson because of his past. I like Russ a lot. I like him as a person. I think he's was around him all the time in Dan Patrick.
Yep.
Came on every year at the Super Bowl. Very, very polite to everybody. He does have that veneer, that professional veneer, which seems kind of phony.
Yep.
But he lets it down a little bit in person. He just doesn't want to say the wrong thing in front of a mic. But I just worry that he is not the mobile quarterback that we saw in Seattle. So if Pittsburgh's expecting that, you're not going to have that. You're going to have a very conservative offense and a conservative quarterback.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up Russ's personality. Let's touch on that for a second. At 855-212-4CBS, you're welcome to weigh in on this deal. We know we're on in Steelers country, and we know Steelers country is not just in Pennsylvania. The Steelers fan base reaches coast to coast. Let's talk about the personality for a second. We talk about these buzzwords, right? Like buzzwords in our society, like grit. It was one of them. What's the buzzword right now?
Authenticity?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Authenticity. And, I wish that Russ had a dose of that because, to be honest with Russ, he's done a really great job of projecting the sort of perfect kind of life or person or what have you. But a lot of that shine is sort of off. We know he asked for a trade out of Seattle, which is not a crime. We know he asked to get the coach and the GM fired. I mean, we know that, he went to the media in Denver and said, they asked me to take, go back on my guaranteed money. He shouldn't feel like he has to keep up these appearances and the way, because, drips and you're in the public spotlight this long, drips and drabs, your personality are going to come out anyway. We've already seen it. You're a human being. It's okay. And, I know far be it for me to say he's got a lot more at stake than I do, but, maybe just loosening up a little bit could do him a whole lot of good.
Gosh, it's one thing to ask the Steelers to win a playoff game. That'd be an accomplishment. To ask Russell Wilson to loosen up, that feels like a bridge too far, Maggie.
I know. Mr. Unlimited. Loosen the tie, dude. It's cool.
I don't know if that tie is ever getting loosened. That is an interesting wish. I mean, it's working for him. He was man of the year 2 years ago. He's won a Super Bowl ring, 9 Pro Bowls. I do not see that happening. I think he he is comfortable working this way. He'd rather be perceived as phony than actually have to really put himself out there. I mean, who knows what, not skeletons. I just think, I've heard Russell talk about it, get emotional a few times talking about it. He lost his dad in college, who was a Dartmouth grad, by the way, like myself. Really cool. I think Russell actually, he got benched in college. He's gone through, talking about grit. That guy's gone through a lot of adversity, ended up on top. Give him a lot of credit. He, of course, had this famous mental coach, Trevor Moawad, who passed away 2 years ago. And Russell Wilson was deeply affected by that. A lot going on with Russ, I think, but he'll never let any of us know. And that's not going to change. That will definitely not change in Pittsburgh, Maggie. I think he's too afraid to sort of be vulnerable. And I kind of get that. I think a lot of people are like that.
Okay, so I get it. And, we're talking about Russell Wilson now signing with the Steelers. I think in some ways you get the same kind of public persona also from Mike Tomlin. Now, it's different for coaches.
Yep.
Coaches definitely have to, some coaches, Sean Payton isn't really like this way, and there's others who let their guard down. But a lot of coaches keep the public a little bit, stiff arm, just a little bit removed. And maybe he and Tomlin are kindred spirits in this way.
I have no idea what Mike Tomlin's like off the field.
No clue. He did a podcast. He did Ryan Clark's podcast once, and he was really good and seemed a lot looser. But you're not getting that in a press conference.
I once saw a documentary about his wife.
Oh, really?
And they went out to dinner. It was about a half-hour show, and she was really cool.
Just about his wife?
It was really focused on his wife.
Got it.
And he came to dinner a couple times, and she ran the show.
Yeah.
She was really funny and interesting, and he
like most women.
He doted on her.
Yeah.
And they went to dinner, and he's like, "Oh, I've been working all day and all that." She's like, "Of course you have." And she immediately lightened him up. So I got to find this documentary. She was really interesting, but there wasn't much there. It felt like all that dude does is watch tape and coach football. I still didn't get a sense of who he is.
Like, it's one thing, you're not exactly going to be Bruce Arians, who's got a cocktail party going on out of the trunk of his car in the parking lot of the Arizona Cardinals, which was written in his own memoir.
Well, we know, and Andy Reid, of course, is in a booth somewhere at a fast food restaurant stealing nuggies from Patrick Mahomes.
I know. That's the only time a commercial just went to the subject as opposed to the subject coming to the commercial. They just met Andy Reid where he was.
Yeah, it was a HBO documentary called State of Play that featured Mike Tomlin's wife, Kia, and she was awesome, and he was definitely a bit player in this. He was just like, I've just been watching so much tape. Can you order for me? I remember that line. He had his wife order for him at the restaurant. That's who Mike Tomlin is.
Wow. Would you guys trust your significant other to order for you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right?
Ooh, that's a good question. I feel like Andrea would probably make sure it's something super healthy, which would probably annoy me.
Right. What she wants you to eat.
Right.
Not what you want to eat.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't think I trust my husband in this one. I love my husband dearly.
Yeah.
And we've been eating together now for 15 years.
My wife could definitely order it. She just knows me well enough. She kind of knows what I'd order. We've been married almost 15 years.
No. I think my husband definitely knows me. I just wonder, I don't know if he's paying attention to what I'm eating.
Oh, man. Pete, what about you?
Oh, yeah. She do a great job. I think she would order me a good meal.
No, I think the woman would order something. Would you order right for her?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
for
It's
sure.
the flip side.
For sure.
Well, there's a dynamic in my household that is a bit complicated.
What's that? Oh, you're the only one that eats.
No, we both order, but I kind of assume that she'll give me about a third of her meal, and she does not like this arrangement.
Wait, why do people do that?
Oh, that's a thing in my house too. You got to be ready to share.
No, if I'm ordering an entree at a restaurant, that is my entree.
Yeah.
You'd have a tough time in my family, EJ.
Oh,
you got to offer bites.
I had a tough time with my girlfriend because she thinks that we should share every entree.
Yeah.
You got to at least offer a bite and a good bite.
No, a bite is fine, but
Okay.
she's like, no, let's order these two things so that then we could split half of it and we could share it. And I'm like, no, I don't want half of whatever you ordered. I want my thing.
The avocado salad.
Yeah, I don't want that.
Yeah.
I want this burger. This burger is mine.
That's how my wife and I order. We order two that we're going to split all the time. Because you want to sample the menu. Don't you ever get a menu, EJ, and you're like, well, I kind of want a little bit of this and a little bit of that?
No, that's not me. My thing is, okay, if this was good, I'll come back and get more. I'll come back to this restaurant again. I like going out to eat. So if we're going to sample stuff, just get a bunch of appetizers. That, no problem. But once you get to the entree,
there's different rules?
Yeah, that should be mine. But again, my girlfriend, she thinks that we should buy multiple entrees so we can split them.
In my family, if you don't offer a bite before you take a bite, then that's like an unwritten no-no. Like the meal comes, it's like, would you like a bite? Would you like a bite?
Right. You want to
before you even eat your own food.
You want to break off
we're idiots.
We want to break off a bite before you've actually eaten it. Totally.
Sometimes, right.
And you and I on the road, we're very much.
I'll give you a bite.
Yeah, we'll give you a bite. Actually, it's kind of sad. Maggie and I kind of order together.
Listen, I want to taste other things.
Yeah, do you want the chicken tacos? And I'll get the fish. And like, yeah, it's yeah.
I know.
Now, desserts, all good. Share desserts.
Oh, desserts.
Have multiple ones. That I'm all for, the sharing the 50-50.
Wait, did I tell you guys I took my kid to get his first ice cream of the spring the other day? Took my kid to get his first ice cream of the spring. He's 4.
Okay.
So we get like a big scoop, because ice cream places can't help themselves, with the sprinkles on top. And then she hands us the cup and 1 spoon. And I looked at her. I was like, we'll take another spoon.
I mean, this is America, Maggie. They're expecting the 4-year-old to eat all of it.
I guess.
Ooh, yeah, my kids do not share ice cream. That's interesting. That is a no-share situation.
But he's 4. There's no chance he's getting through this whole thing.
But does it get melty and gross by the time
I didn't
you
have
get
any
to it?
because I also realized I can't be eating the same amount of ice cream that my 4-year-old is, because I'm 40. So that's not going to fly. So I didn't have any, but at least give me the spoon.
Oh, yeah. That is, we go to this place called Junior's.
Yeah.
It's a famous
cheesecake.
I think it's kind of national now. Anyway, they have these milkshakes. And I always take a bite of my daughter's milkshake. We've almost gotten fist fights. Emma's almost thrown a right hook at me. She's like, get away from my milkshake, Dad. But I can't help it.
855-212-4CBS. How did this start? Russell Wilson. He's in Pittsburgh. I like
it. Do you think he shares meals with Sierra?
I don't think Sierra's eating a lot based on...
I think he's probably doing whatever she's suggesting. Suggesting.
You think Sierra runs the show?
I think every woman kind of does, to a certain extent.
Yeah, for sure.
About stuff like this,
Yeah.
I think she probably sets the tone, whether you're sharing or not sharing the entrees.
Now, I wonder if Sierra can be the enforcer like most other women can be when you get the order wrong. Because I will never test a waiter when they get an order wrong or they're late on something.
Oh, yeah.
But Andrea, my girlfriend, is very quick to be like, excuse me.
You overdressed the salad.
Yeah. Or he wanted fries on the side. What's going on?
Yeah, or send this steak back. I want it more well done or something. I don't do it because who knows what they're doing to that steak back in the kitchen.
Listen, I grew up in the restaurant business, not doing anything back there to the steak.
Oh, get out of here.
At least not in my family's restaurant. They're just putting it back on the grill, maybe a couple expletives, and then it's back out.
Yeah, no, that's not me. It's just whatever I get is what I get, and I'm just gonna have to live with.
I just eat it too. Whatever. 855-212-4CBS. 855-212-4227. Covered a lot of ground there. Steelers, first and foremost. Russell Wilson, do you think this is going to finally result in the Steelers winning a playoff game for the first time since 2016, 2017?
I do not.
I do. I like this. I'm high. I'm bullish. I'll tell you the person I don't feel great about, though, and it's one of the dominoes that's falling because of this Russell Wilson contract. We'll get to that next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Russell Wilson signing with the Steelers. Reportedly, and Russ put out his own social media post, so I guess it's happening. Turns out he was in Newark Airport because he had an informational meeting with the Giants. Also, sub-reporting from ESPN's team of Dan Graziano and Jeremy Fowler, the Raiders might have had interest at some point. So it looks like Russ was going to get a job. Dude was free. $1 million.
Yeah.
And you didn't have to trade anything. Whereas we're going to probably see some mega money later today for Kirk Cousins. So I think the market spoke in the sense that a free quarterback, that's not nothing. You know, you don't find those every day, Maggie.
Yeah, I just think the Steelers brought him in to be more than just a free quarterback and just to be like a contingency plan or a plan B. I think they brought him in to win the job. I don't think it's going to be a fair competition between him and Pickett. And I think Russ is going to win the job, and I think he's going to do well. So that might line him up for another kind of payday. I don't know. But you're right, Baker Mayfield got $50 million guaranteed for 2 years. It could escalate up to over $100 million. We have no idea what Kirk's going to sign for. And we don't know if Justin Fields is going to get traded and make it an extension on top of it, or might just have to play out the string.
Actually, I was stealing this point from EJ. That the Baker Mayfield contract, 2 years, $50 million guaranteed, 3 years, some crazy number. Who knows what's real? That actually is a little more sanity than Daniel Jones, 2 years, $80 million.
I'll agree with you.
I think a lot of NFL people are like, whoa, Daniel Jones made 2 years, $80 million. That's getting a little out of control.
Now, the other conversation. We're talking a lot about football, quarterbacks, and Russ. Now, all of a sudden, we've got a controversy about whether it's appropriate to ask someone you're dining with if you're married or in a relationship or just family or friends like me and Perloff. Is it okay to ask for a bite of their food? Or like kind of imply that if you're with your husband or wife and you go out to a restaurant, you're going to be able to like eat off each other's plate.
That's how we do it in the Perloff household for sure.
Same with us, but EJ is wildly offended by this. Sean is in Oregon. Sean, are you with us or are you with EJ?
I'm with EJ on this one. I don't let dogs eat off my plate either.
Well, your significant other's not a dog. I hope.
Dogs don't lick my plate.
I don't know, Sean. You're laughing a little too hard at that one.
I'm just not down with it. In fact, when I go out to eat, I take people out. We usually have a plan. I take them out for pizza. We go out for Chinese. We go out for this. They don't need to look at the menu. I order food and drinks. I'm paying. You know, if we're going out to a restaurant we've never been at, whatever, you can look at the menu. I don't care. But you better check with me first before you order something.
Wow, you sound like a delight. No, Sean, I'm just kidding. You know what? And Sean, appreciate it. Okay, I think there are instances where this is appropriate to do, right?
Order for the table? Yeah, totally.
If you know the restaurant, if it's your home base or whatever, you know the menu, hey, and you people who don't have food allergies and no one's picky, you can do your own thing. Also, sometimes with a big, huge group, it's like, oh, we got 15 people, Chinese restaurant, I know the menu, let me just order for the table, blah, blah, blah. I think in some cases it's appropriate.
Well, yeah, and also pizza's a totally different situation. Pizza by definition is a share.
Right.
And then you get into the toppings argument, which is dicey. And it always ends up, I don't know if you guys are like me, it always ends up being a plain pizza because no one can agree on the toppings. So every time we're in a group, it's a plain pizza where I would prefer something else.
Yeah. That's why you can go half, you know?
Yeah, it's tough though.
I like the half thing too, but a lot of people don't want to do that. They want to do the whole thing, which is annoying. And also, like, why do people want weird stuff on the pizza, honestly?
Define weird. Sausage, is that weird?
I'm not crazy about sausages, but that's not...
Pepperoni?
We could be worse. Black olives. Who wants olives on a pizza?
Have you tried it? Don't knock it.
No, I don't want olives on pizza.
No.
Guys, live a little.
Black olives?
Anchovies?
No, see, anchovies. What do we do?
Get cultured.
Listen, if you don't like this Grandma Gray thing, stop pushing anchovies on pizza.
If you put anchovies on my...
it's going to stick.
Anchovies on... You just ruined the whole segment right there. Anchovies on pizza sounds nasty.
You guys don't like anchovies?
Is that even a thing?
I mean, I like anchovies.
It's a Spanish delicacy. What do you think the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were eating?
They were not eating anchovies on pizza.
That's the whole thing. Well, that's fair.
Now, I am pro Hawaiian slice. I am pro pineapple on pizza.
Oh, my gosh. You can't say no anchovies, no black olives, but you're okay with ham and pineapple.
Yeah, you got sweet and salty.
Ham and pineapple is much more mainstream than sardines.
Definitely.
Actually, it was anchovies.
Yeah. But it's the same, but you're asking that to a lot of people is a weird topping, EJ.
No, but like it makes sense in the sense that you always want to pair sweet with salty.
Yeah, and that's what an anchovy is. And the tomato sauce is sweet.
Well,
that's
also
the point
olives,
of anchovies.
right? Olives or anchovies are also
the
the
cheese
savory
is
to
super
the
salty. So you got salt on salt on salt.
Well, the sauce is sweet.
Yeah.
There's a reason if you go into any pizza store around us, there is a Hawaiian slice. There's a ham and pineapple in every pizza store. There's no anchovies.
Oh, so you're wrong. I've lived here my entire life. Any pizzeria, it will always list anchovies. I can remember the pizza box that I grew up with that has, they have little
Check
toppings.
it on the
There's
side.
an anchovies check
But
box.
you know the
check.
slices that are out there, there's no anchovies on the that
not
are
a
for
single
display.
slice.
Yeah, not a single slice, but it's always an available topping.
But you'll always go to a pizza parlor and see a pie there that has the pineapple on it. And there's always a pie
as
sitting
well.
there.
Always. We'll do an experiment right after the show. I guarantee there's a pizza place right near us. Well, there's definitely going to be a Hawaiian slice there.
Okay.
It always happens.
When do they open?
What if we go there? There's like 4 slices of anchovy pizza, and they're like, "What's pineapple?"
At that point and do a taste test.
I think we get there and they're like, "We're not open yet. You guys are doing a morning show, and we are a pizza restaurant."
We should do a tournament of pizza toppings. I think mushrooms is a number 1 seed, and I know a lot of people like mushrooms.
And I like mushrooms, but like on pizza,
it's so good.
Mushrooms is very common, even a little more common than black olives, which is also relatively
So
common.
guys, do black olives with mushrooms and add a little broccoli.
Yeah.
in there.
Okay.
Now a pizza that is so perfect now becomes so like gamey and weird. unnecessarily.
Gamey, it's not venison.
It's not as earthy.
Yeah.
The mushrooms aren't bad like that.
Oh.
Meanwhile, we should get to headlines because there's a lot going on today.
Is there?
What a sale. What a sale.
No, I'm just still stuck on you can't put weird things, but I love ham and pineapple.
Yeah,
it's
It's
like
not weird anymore.
But it is.
Oh.
Still, it's like one of the most divisive pizza topics around.
No,
Okay.
but you can get it anywhere.
Put up a poll. Which is a weirder pizza topping, ham and pineapple or anchovies?
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll bet you
It's going to skew in age, I
anchovies
bet. Older people are going to say that ham and pineapple is weirder because they're used to anchovies being available.
See, I also think it's going to get skewed because people think anchovies is gross.
Right.
So
People don't
it's-
like anchovies.
Right. So it's going to lose even though it's ubiquitous.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't want it. I
How
never
about
had
this?
it, but it's always on the menu.
No, EJ, put which is more common.
Which more common?
On a pizza menu.
That's why he's the writer.
I'm working on it. Sorry. You
I love
typing.
that. I love that we're in the middle of Russell. It's the biggest day of NFL free agency, and
Not
we're
even. It's like day
let's break
zero.
this down. Yeah, right now Kirk Cousins is actually putting pen to paper, and we're debating mushroom versus sausage.
Or also, is it appropriate to eat off your partner's plate?
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to be a landslide. All right, Bogus, back to you.
Russell Wilson to the Steelers. Baker Mayfield staying with the Bucs for 2 years and $50 million guaranteed. And the Jags sending a 6th-round pick to the Patriots for Mac Jones. QB's on the move in the last 24 hours. Kirk Cousins, meanwhile, preparing to move. He'll reportedly test the open market while keeping in contact with the Vikings, maybe so they can try to match any offer he gets. The Chargers reportedly open to trading Mike Williams and or Keenan Allen, the veteran wideouts entering the final year of their current deals. My birthday pain brother, Foley Fatukasi, is expected to sign with the Texans, and the Bears now say they'll focus on a new stadium in Chicago, not the old racetrack site in suburban Arlington Heights. The Knicks and Sixers did play 4 full quarters last night, only scored 152 total points, the fewest since 2016. Philly winning at the Garden 79-73. The Thunder roughed up the Grizzlies 124-93, with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scoring 23 in just 3 quarters. And the Rockets won in Sacramento 112-104. But this happened.
Van Vliet trying to out-dribble the double team. And Sabonis with the pinch. Inside, draws the hit, got Crawford. And Şengün went down hard and is grabbing his left knee.
That's from NBC Sports California. You can hear Houston's leading scorer, Alperen Şengün, screaming in pain. It's his right knee and his right ankle. That's the problem. MRIs today. He went up to block Domantas Sabonis, landed very awkwardly on that right leg. He left the floor in a wheelchair. The Pistons didn't play yesterday, so they didn't lose yesterday, but they did lose on Saturday to the Mavs, dropping them to 10-53. They once again have the worst record in the NBA, so not surprisingly, there are angry fans in Detroit. One of them approached GM Troy Weaver in the seats Saturday night, and thankfully other fans were taping it.
You suck at your job.
So the end is you suck at your job, which is from the fan. The beginning is Weaver saying, "I'll beat your bleep." Maggie, we know where Pearl was last night because he keeps telling us about it, but do we know where he was on Saturday as an angry Piston fan?
Oh my gosh, are you harassing Troy Weaver? I mean, listen, no lies detected. He might not be good at the job, but he should not be arguing with fans like that.
I'm just disappointed. I pick up this Pistons team and they get a high draft pick. And not only that, poor Troy Weaver. There's nobody to draft in this year's draft, so it's nothing's changing. It's hard for me to get excited, and there's nowhere to go but up. So I'm optimistic about that. But if you could bring in a star player next year, it'd be a lot easier for a Pistons nation, which I am a member of.
Well, maybe read the room too. Don't sit in the crowd. And go
When you've won 9 games.
Sit in a box,
Yeah,
maybe.
I remember Isaiah Thomas when things were going real bad for the Knicks. He just stand in the tunnel.
Yeah.
So people can throw things at him?
Yeah, exactly. Just avoided sitting in the crowd. Just stood in the tunnel. So if anybody was being mean, he could always just go to the back.
They're 42 games under 500.
The other thing, too, though, was, look, as bad as last night was as a Knicks fan, it was a great experience, but a bad game and the worst offensive performance
you guys
I've
got
seen.
to sit courtside.
Yeah, but it was the worst offensive performance I've seen in years, literally. I will say what took the sting out of that Knicks loss was the fact that not only could Perloff not root for the Sixers, but the fact that they're not even his team anymore. So this was just a neutral Knicks loss. As bad as it was, it's a division rival. We don't like losing to them, but there was no added goading of Sixers win. There was none of that because he's not a Pistons fan.
Well, I did get to, I don't like the Knicks generally. They're rivals, but a lot of former Villanova guys, so I could squint. It probably would have driven Bilotti crazy. I kind of cheered for the Knicks last night. But when Dolan's sitting 3 seats from you, there's a lot of pressure.
You'll get thrown in a gulag if you don't root for the Knicks, if you're sitting that close to the owner.
Even though the Sixers won, there was not a lot to cheer for. I mean, it was Kelly Oubre throws up a shot and pray. It was not a good team.
The score last night in the Knicks Sixers was basically the identical score for the LSU South Carolina women's final, the SEC championship game.
By the way, Troy Weaver is the Pistons GM. A, I've never heard of him and did not know that. But B, isn't that the character from Draft Day? Troy Weaver?
Is it?
With Kevin Costner's character? Wasn't he named Weaver too? Am I imagining that?
I mean, I can't imagine his first name being Troy.
Okay.
But maybe
GM.
Oh, yeah. It was
he definitely would be a better
It was
GM.
Sonny Weaver, but Sonny is a nickname, obviously, so we don't know what his first name was.
Sonny is rarely a nickname for Troy, I believe, though.
Yeah. Well, Sonny is because of son, so it could be anything. I maybe? No.
Really?
What?
Sonny? Is that why? Is that what they call people Sonny because his son? I don't know. I had no idea. He is Sonny Weaver Jr. in this movie, so I assume the son does connect with that.
I mean, listen, the mistakes that dude made over the years, drafting a linebacker number 1. What are you thinking, Sonny? I mean, Troy Weaver's doing a better job with the Pistons than Sonny Weaver did with the Browns.
He was running the Browns. I mean, that's kind of par for the course for them.
So people are yelling at Troy Weaver. What do they expect from this dude in Detroit? These are hard jobs.
Our next story is courtesy of one Pete the Body. It involves Utah State women's basketball, a last place finish in the Mountain West, then a first round exit from the conference tourney. So after that game, head coach Kayla Ard faced an obvious question.
How do you plan to rebuild for next season?
I'm not going to be rebuilding. I just coached my last game at Utah State. I spoke with Diana, and they're going in a different direction, and I respect her decision, and I hope they get a really good coach in.
Wow.
I'm assuming that's going to be the last question. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
All. Thank you, Coach.
Actually, that should not be the last question.
Yeah.
I'd have 10 more questions, including why did they let you come to the podium?
Yeah,
If they just fired you.
Fired her in the tunnel before the press conference.
They must really trust her to be able to go out there and not blow them up or something. And go out and address the media and not be like, everyone back there's incompetent, blah, blah, blah.
I mean, she kind of did, though, right? I mean, how many times do you see that happen?
Very
I don't think I've ever seen that.
I've been at one. The A-10 tourney a couple of years ago, St. Louis fired Jim Cruz, who had replaced Rick Majerus, and everyone knew he was going to get fired, but they put out their statement at the final horn, and then he walked in and answered questions about being fired. But at least we knew he had been fired. No one knew that this lady had been fired.
She just came in last place.
Yeah.
How about one of those ADs going up there and have some guts and sitting up there and answering some questions?
What?
Bunch of cowards.
What was the deal with Dwight Howard and Stan Van Gundy? Dwight Howard thought that he just gotten the coach fired, and he went up there and didn't know the coach was fired. Is that how?
No. If I recall, Dwight was working to get Stan Van Gundy fired.
Absolutely.
Right? And then Stan was doing a media avail, had all the media around him. He's like, I guess I'm going to get fired because, or he's doing something.
Yeah, he's doing
And then Dwight comes over and puts his arm around him during the same talk. And he's like, how's everything going, coach?
And he basically said, I'm being fired, right?
I think Stan got real quiet, I thought.
Yeah, basically, yeah. You got the story mostly right. Yeah, Stan tells the media, I'm hearing that Dwight wants me fired, so I don't know how the rest of the season is going to go. And then Dwight comes over. It's like, hey, what's up, guys? How's everything going? And Stan's like, oh, yeah, if you got any questions, Dwight, you guys can talk to him, and then just walks away.
And then he walks away.
And
that
Dwight
was
has to answer
awkward.
a bunch of questions about Stan saying that he was trying to get him fired.
Do you remember the Dwight-mare? That's what they called it. It was like, will he or will he not sign the extension in Orlando?
Oh.
And he signed it and then immediately wanted to go to the Lakers. Good grief.
By the way, I doing a little research. There is more written about Sonny Weaver taking a middle linebacker and not an edge player than pretty much any real draft pick in the movie Draft Day. Like, what was he doing?
Didn't he also trade up to
get a running back? Yeah.
So Jesus. So he really jumped on those two.
I mean, if it's Jahmyr Gibbs, I can squint and see it, but come on, get with the modern game.
I think Sonny is in The Godfather, isn't it Santino, excuse me. Santino.
Oh, God. Have you seen The Godfather?
Yes, of course. Weaver. Sorry, Santino, Salvatore. Guys, it's similar.
I'm the
Mike
one who's
and
not
Mac.
seen The Godfather.
Somebody here hasn't seen The Godfather.
It's EJ.
Yeah, I've not seen it.
You'll get there.
I want to see it. I just haven't.
By the way, I Googled, the reason I got on this whole draft thing is because I Googled what is Sonny Weaver's real name, and that information is not available. because he's not a real person.
His real name's Kevin Costner. 855-212-4CBS. Bogish, thank you. See you guys on the phones. You want to react to everything going on today, including Russell Wilson is going to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and also we've got to do a question about the more common pizza topping. Is it anchovies or is it ham and pineapple?
Poll's looking good in my favor. So,
boy, 855-212-4CBS. More Maggie and Perloff next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Lots of news from over the weekend, including the fact that Russell Wilson is signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers. There you go. Baker Mayfield is re-signed with the Tampa Bay Bucs, and Mac Jones is now a member of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still waiting on Kirk Cousins to make a decision. Still waiting on Justin Fields to be traded. Leland is in Sacramento. Good morning, Leland. How are you?
Hey, Maggie. Good morning. It's been a while.
Yeah, good to hear from you.
So, continuing to listen to the show, but you guys brought up the NFL today with Russell Wilson, so I thought I'd call in and pitch an argument to you.
Okay.
So, it's been a while since I haven't watched any highlight reel of the 49ers. I'm just, super upset about that. But I've had some time to think, and I'm going to say something pretty bold. I'm going to say that Kyle Shanahan doesn't have what it takes to lead the 49ers to the Super Bowl. And I got a couple of reasons, and maybe you guys should comment. So, back at the game, the 49ers, they're just discombobulated through the whole game. I've had some time to think about it. There are gaffes, all throughout the game, and I'm not going to rehash all those, but I just think that he didn't get him ready. Kyle Shanahan chokes under the limelight. He can't handle the pressure. And the biggest gaffe was that, overtime where they didn't take to, they took the ball instead of deferring. That's the biggest mistake I see. And I think as long as he's there, they're going to come close, but they're never going to win the Super Bowl. And that's unfortunate because there's a lot of 49er fans that love the 49ers, but Kyle Shanahan.
All right, so this is what I'm getting from you, Leland, and I wonder if you're speaking for a lot of Northern California right now, which is the dust is now fully settled on the Super Bowl, which was a really painful overtime loss where you had the ball, and the blame has come down. The blame has been divvied out, and the most of the blame is coming down on Kyle Shanahan.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
What are you guys? Are you guys crazy right now? What is going on here? Kyle Shanahan prepared a team with Brock Purdy to go to overtime against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. That's not an accomplishment?
I mean, you're talking about MVP finalist Brock Purdy. Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league right now, but you're right there. At that point, your quarterback, he's been a starter all year. They went with him. They rolled. They were riding with Brock.
You can't say they were not prepared for that game. they got to overtime of a Super Bowl game. You're saying they're never going to win, and this is a second-year quarterback who is Mr. Irrelevant?
I see where you're going with that, Perloff, but I just say I got to disagree with you. Most of the time I agree with you, but I disagree with you. By the way, I'm a ham and pineapple pizza.
Yeah, Leland, way to go, buddy.
Getting to the really important stuff. What's more common? Thank you, Leland. Anchovies are ham and pineapple of all the bizarre toppings. So, San Francisco is leading at halftime, so you can't say they weren't prepared to play, but were they prepared for that overtime? I don't think so. I think Kyle Shanahan didn't play the overtime correctly. I think we can all agree on that.
Well, that doesn't mean he won't win in the future. This reminds me so much of Andy Reid. Andy Reid made all sorts of game management mistakes, then figured it out.
But he might not get his Patrick Mahomes. You ask Andy Reid, what's the difference between you now and you in Philadelphia? And he said, Mahomes. He'll say it.
Well, Shanahan was known for blowing leads in the playoffs, and this year proved that he can come back in the playoffs. I mean, the guy's playoff record is amazing. So to think that he'll never win just ignores the trends to me.
How about this? Did you guys see the news over the weekend about Brock Purdy?
No.
He got married,
yeah.
Brock Purdy got married in Des Moines, Iowa to Jenna Brandt, his longtime girlfriend. And I've checked 3 different gossipy websites. No word on whether any of his teammates were there.
I thought you said no word.
Photos.
Were they there?
I haven't seen any teammates though.
Right, photos of the wedding, but not of the teammates. Nothing. We're getting nothing.
What about the roommate from San Francisco who he lived with? And is he going to move out and live with his wife now?
All to be determined. Great questions, though. Coming up, dominoes falling all over the NFL when it comes to the quarterback carousel. We've got updates for you. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's a violin prodigy. Her full name is Maggie the Stallion. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Pittsburgh Steelers making moves, and I like it. Hey, welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. We're not seeing this quite the same. Russell Wilson has signed a one-year deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers. If you're just waking up, you're just hearing the news, that is, so far, the big news of the day in the NFL. And Perloff, I like this. Clearly, the team doesn't see a bright future with Kenny Pickett.
So let me offer an alternative solution. One that was out there was signed Justin Fields. Very different quarterback, much younger than Russell Wilson. Doesn't have the pedigree, but very, very athletic. And also does have a strong arm. Just sort of didn't look like he knew how to play the position in Chicago, which I kind of blame the coaching. How about this as another option? They sit at number 20.
Yeah.
You don't believe in Kenny Pickett. You're saying that.
Right.
This is going to be the strongest quarterback draft of this 3-year period. They're going to have to draft a quarterback at some point, and they're never going to be low in the draft because Mike Tomlin wills them to a winning record
yes,
every
he
year.
Does.
So what if Michael Penix was sitting there at number 20? There are alternate ways to think about this. Even now, there are alternate ways to think about it. You know, if they've given up on Pickett, then I know they won't draft Michael Penix at number 20, but man, I would have been excited about that because I don't know, what is this, a 1 year? They're going to go 10-7. We're going to revisit. Is there any chance this is a long-term solution here?
No, it's not. It's a short-term solution, but I think the Steelers find themselves in a window here. I think they see it. You picked them to go to the Super Bowl last year. Clearly, you think that they have tools and weapons. That defense is a Super Bowl caliber defense, and that's one of the reasons why I like this. You don't need somebody to come in, and you don't need Russ of 2008. You know, you don't need to let Russ cook. What you need is a guy with a good arm who can still throw a deep pass outside the numbers, and you need somebody who's not going to turn the ball over. Boom. I just gave you Russell Wilson for $1 million. And by the way, I don't think he's going to hurt the locker room. I think there were mistakes that were made at the end of Seattle, obviously, and there were mistakes that were made in Denver. But you already have a really strong head coach in Mike Tomlin. And if he gives Russ the support, like he throws his weight behind Russell Wilson, which I think he's going to, then I think Russ is going to be the leader of that ship. And, you know, the defense, they're good, but the offense definitely needed a little bit of direction. And I think that Russ will be able to give that. Sean Payton clearly, it was clear early, I think, that he soured on Russ.
I agree with all that. And by the way, some of that Seahawks friction, I think the other side, the Richard Sherman side, those guys all kind of gone a little loose around the turn there.
Yeah.
By the way, Russ in 2008, I just looked it up. He was a freshman at NC State.
I'm sorry.
17 touchdowns, 1 pick. If you could get that Russ, because that Russ could run all over the field. That's the issue. We don't have that Russ.
I'm sorry. Not 2008. How about 2015? Is that better?
Well, it depends. Which Russ you want? You want the Russ who's a caretaker and lets the defense and run game win the game, Marshawn Lynch and the defense win? Or do you want the Russ who led the league in touchdowns about 5 years later? I think
want the Super Bowl winning Russ, which is the first one.
Which is very conservative. I'm not sure that works anymore. I'm not sure that approach can get you a Super Bowl ring. I think you need to have your quarterback do more. Even the Niners this year.
Yeah.
The Niners have this all-time defense last year. They decide, you know what? We're going to really actually, I don't know if they decided. All of a sudden, their offense becomes awesome to get them much closer to a ring than they were with the great defense. I think you need both now, and the Steelers have proven that because they've had a good defense. And where's it gotten you, Maggie? It's gotten you to the first round of the playoffs and out.
I get it, but when you get to the playoffs, what happens?
They lose.
Well, I know that, but I think Russ is going to be now the difference, and they're finally going to win a playoff game for the first time since 2016-2017 season. I think what you see is when it gets cold and when it gets to be playoff time, and the AFC North is a beast, But when it gets to be cold in playoff time, you already are going to be leaning more on the run game and the defense. So I don't want my quarterback to turn the ball over. Boom. I've just given you Russell Wilson, who is one of the greatest quarterbacks almost ever at not turning the ball over. The career high, season high for him in turnovers is 13. I'm telling you, that's half a Josh Allen season. They're different guys, obviously. But again, the point is made. You want someone who's clean.
Well, he's lost 4 out of his last 5 playoff games. So that formula has not proven to work in Seattle. I don't know. I mean, they had clean this year for the most part. I just think the AFC, you need more right now. And it's not just about the Steelers. It's about everyone around them. That division is so talented. There's so many good quarterbacks. You're going to need Russ to do things that he couldn't do in Denver. And I don't know if that was partly because Sean Payton didn't want him to really, let loose. But I don't know if Russell Wilson still has it. And regardless of even if he still has it, I don't know if that coaching staff is going to let him do anything. I just feel like Pittsburgh wants the same. They have the same coach every year. They have the same philosophy. They got a little high octane in the 2010s. They're like, this is scary. I don't like this anymore. Let's go back to run the ball and play defense. I just think that Pittsburgh wants consistency, and unfortunately, that consistency is not getting them back to the Super Bowl.
Okay, so Russell Wilson signs with the Pittsburgh Steelers. If you're just waking up, you're just hearing that news, that's the big news. We saw Arthur Smith failed as a head coach in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Let's put that to the side. A lot of talented coordinators fail when they become head coaches. I know they're not the same player, obviously, but look at what Arthur Smith did for Ryan Tannehill in the second part of his career.
Yeah.
Was able to use a good run game and a good defense and was able to maximize whatever Ryan Tannehill had left after Miami.
Yeah, totally. And they're the same, basically the same team as those Ryan Tannehill Titans teams.
Okay, but this Steelers defense might even be a little bit better. So
yeah, but they don't have the advantage of being in the AFC South like Ryan Tannehill and the Titans.
Listen, the Steelers keep making the playoffs. So yes, they're in a tougher division, yet they keep finding a way.
Yeah, and they're going to find a way this year, but it's not going to make any difference. It's limbo. It's like NBA limbo, except it's the NFL version where they are designed to be 10-7. I'll tell you right now, they're going 10-7 this year because they have a really easy schedule. They have the Giants and the Jets, I think, on there. They have the NFC East, and they basically have a much easier schedule than the Ravens, who are first place. They'll find wins, but Maggie, at what point are you going to stop doing this? Is it after this year? Is it after next year? At a certain point, you're going to have to try something different.
855-2124-CBS, 855-212-4227. You're welcome to weigh in on Russ. Now, the other thing we're watching here today, and you can vote on our poll about Russ and Pittsburgh, and if it seems like Perloff and I are kind of fast-forwarding, like, hey, Kenny Pickett, I think you and I are actually in lockstep about Pickett. We disagree about Russ and his impact, but I think you and I are lockstep about Pickett before we move to the other dominoes that are going to fall here, is that I think you and I see this the same way. Them bringing in Russell Wilson, even though it's only $1 million, signals that they have lost confidence in Pickett and Russ is going to win the job, right?
Yes, okay. I agree with that.
I would be shocked if Kenny Pickett won this job. And I actually think that Russ probably understands that, yeah, he's going to, quote-unquote, compete for the job. But don't you think Russ is savvy enough and smart enough to know, I want to go to a place where I can start? And if it was
100%.
true that he actually may have had the Las Vegas Raiders in the back pocket, possibly.
That would have been a definitely started situation because they have nobody at quarterback.
Well, exactly. I mean, they're probably going to draft somebody. But again, they're drafting 13th.
13th. And even like so, it's 13th an immediate start. I mean, I think he could have probably started there as a bridge quarterback. But I don't think Bo Nix would start over him. I think Kenny Pickett has a better chance than Bo Nix.
Well, exactly. So, I think Russ understands, and he has the pedigree where he's going to, win this job. So, again, if you're wondering why we're sort of fast-forwarding past Pickett here, I think it's because we both think he's relegated now to backup.
Well, Pickett's numbers last year were terrible. I think a lot of that had to do with the offense coordinator, Matt Canada, playing a very conservative style and somewhat incompetent style. Russell Wilson had great stats last year, 26 touchdowns, 8 picks. But there's a big but. He just never, it was as unimpressive a 26-8 ratio as you'll ever see. He was so conservative and he did not run like he used to. It definitely is not the same Russ.
Well, you're right about that. 855-212-4CBS, but still good enough. Definitely to be a starter in this league, in my opinion. Jesus is in the chat. Maggie, Russell Wilson is not an all-time great quarterback. Let's stop the overhype. And says Penix to the Steelers will save him. See, here's the thing. You're going to wait until 20. You don't have any control over this board, right? And by the way, is Penix a first rounder?
Well, maybe you get him in the second round.
Maybe get him in the second round. Listen, anytime someone wants to draft a quarterback in the second round, for the most part, I'm for it. Because we see so many injuries to the quarterbacks, and you always kind of want to be developing someone behind you, outside of Mahomes, Herbert, Josh Allen, stuff like that.
Right.
Lamar.
The thing also, if you get him in the second round, you don't have all that pressure. Look at Kenny Pickett. We're talking about Kenny Pickett now. If he was a second rounder and he was behind Wilson, hey, you'd be like, well, you know what? Pickett's there. Let's develop him. Now it's like, oh, that guy's going to be a bust if he doesn't play. So I like what you're saying. Then again, Jordan Love, I think owners around the league are looking at Jordan Love and saying, hey, wait a second. Why did we not take him at 26? Because I think Nix and Penix, if teams take him in the top of the second instead of the first, I think they're both going to hit. And they're going to regret that. You have to admit it. Just the image of Michael Penix throwing to Pickens downfield, that looks beautiful in my mind.
Well, I mean, maybe they'll have their cake and eat it too, but I doubt it. Okay, there are quarterback dominoes here that are going to be falling. And Baker Mayfield is already going back to Tampa. Mac Jones has been traded to the Jags for basically a bag of footballs. Patriots pick 3rd overall, though. That obviously looks like it's going to be a quarterback situation. Kirk Cousins is the big sort of dude out there, along with Justin Fields. But Fields has to be traded for. Cousins, outright free agent. We're getting some interesting stuff about how he's 50-50, Cousins that is, 50-50 on whether to go back to Minnesota or whether to go to Atlanta. See, to me, this is fascinating. If you've already been in Minnesota for the past 5-6 years, you either know that you want to go back there or you don't. To me, you're 50-50. That means you're out the door.
Why would he not want to go back there, though? If the money wasn't the issue, I understand, there's some family things with Atlanta, but you got Justin Jefferson and at wide receiver and Kevin O'Connell at coach. You were on fire last year. Why you would walk away from that from a football standpoint makes no sense to me.
Well, I think if you're 50-50, unless you are really holding out for every last dollar, and listen, Kirk Cousins made a lot of money, and far be it for me to count his money, but it's not like he's looking for the first payday. This would be the 3rd payday for him.
Yeah, it's a great question. What's he going to spend all this money on? He has a minivan, right? I guess I don't know if he still has that. But, yeah, that's why I would go purely football if I were him. And to me, Minnesota's a better angle for football, unless he thinks or someone is convincing him that Atlanta, all these skill position players they've drafted are about to explode and he can win that division where it's going to be harder to win the NFC North. Maybe that's his thinking. But as far as getting yards and touchdowns, he's perfect for Minnesota.
I think there might be something else at play here with Kirk. And it's something that I think is not getting talked about enough when we say, why is Kirk so interested in potentially leaving Minnesota? I think he has heard that general manager, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, talk often about how average he is, quite frankly. I mean, he says we don't have Tom Brady. We don't have these kind of game-changing type of quarterbacks. He's been very lukewarm about Kirk Cousins and his future in Minnesota.
So you think it's an invitation? You think it's they're not actually offering him a lot of money?
Not even that. I just think that Kirk Cousins probably didn't appreciate for 2 years playing at a Pro Bowl level, hearing the general manager say that, he's just a guy.
Right, but hold on. Yes, I'm sure but his ego is probably bruised by that. Right. But if they're offering him 2 years, 70 million, then the money says, hey, we appreciate it.
Right, but if he's getting a similar offer from somewhere else, he may say, you know what, you guys think you're so good without me, you guys think you can go find your Tom Brady, and I think he may say, okay, go find him. I'm going to go to Atlanta and watch me go win over there.
But again, that would kind of play into what I'm thinking, which is if you're 50-50 at this point, this would be your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This would be your 7th year in Minnesota. Like, you either know or you don't. After 7 years at a place.
But this is a new general manager. I mean, Kwesi's only been there for a couple years.
Are you sure Kwesi's not negotiating and trying to keep his value down by saying that stuff?
He said that when he got into the building. I mean, I guess you could,
it's like an Ivy League thing. He's probably like me. He could. I think Kwesi could have been a banker. Maybe he's playing chess instead of checkers here and trying to keep the Kirk value down a little bit.
It would be smart, but again, Kirk is we know these quarterbacks. They're all alphas, and Kirk is a guy who remembers when people talk bad about him. Again, this is the guy that said, how you like that? Yeah. You like that? That's that guy. I can't imagine that guy loving that his general manager came in the building and immediately started saying, Kirk, we'll see what happens. He's no Tom Brady.
Yeah.
He could not have appreciated that.
Probably not. But again, if the money's there or about there, like we talked to Diana Rossini, like the money tells you how much they love you.
Let's look at Kirk,
if it's comparable.
Kirk's stats last year: 18 touchdowns, 5 picks, almost 70% completion record, challenging for the all-time record, 291 yards per game, which was close to his career high, which he actually had in Washington. I mean, he was really hitting it last year. They didn't win.
Games, yep.
Yeah, they didn't win as much, but he had a stride there. I think that's attractive, just to know that you're going to be good. If they really are going to offer him the money, then there's a chance that they don't. Maybe EJ's right. Maybe they don't want to pay him. Maybe Atlanta's going to say, "Hey, we'll give you $40 million per year," and Minnesota will, at the end of the day, say, enough is enough.
Yeah, right. Like, no, don't go.
Yes,
But
exactly.
Actually,
They're doing a lot of stuff out there saying, hey, we really are trying to get Kirk Cousins back.
See, fan base, we really wanted him.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
he didn't want to go, and we have to spend money on other things. 855-212-4CBS. Now, another very controversial topic around here has become 2 things regarding food. One is it a no-brainer that you share your entree when you're out to eat with your either significant other, family, or even friends?
Or, yeah, your kids, they want a bite? Sure. Yeah, I think it is.
Do you offer bites, and do you expect bites offered to you is the question. And also, unique pizza toppings got into the fray somehow.
One thing with friends, if I'm with a bunch of guy friends at dinner, I do not offer bites. That is sort of a family significant other thing.
Interesting. Okay. So that's not a guy thing.
Wait, when you're with your women friends, do you offer them a bite?
Sure. Why not? We're mostly drinking.
I'm offering nothing. The only time I offer food is if I am done. Like, if I'm done with the food and someone says, hey, can I have some? Sure, whatever, I'm done.
Wow, how nice of you. How big of you to offer somebody some chicken skin.
I am going to throw something out.
Or whatever.
I am going to throw something out there. There is a friend, and I won't name names, who always wanted a bite of my soup.
Ooh.
That is a no-go.
No, you can't do that.
Wait a minute. And they would come in with their own spoon, presumably, but you're still double dipping. It's your soup.
Yeah, soup is a no-share. That's
Dan Patrick?
No.
Is a soup sharer?
Adam Sandler.
Dan could order his own soup if he wanted to try the soup.
Yeah, Dan could probably buy the restaurant. Sandler? Soup sharer?
Hey, Andy. Let me get a bite of that soup there.
He'd probably do it just for the bit. Bill's in California. Bill, weigh in on this insanity.
Well, good morning, guys. How you doing today?
Fantastic.
Well, the first part, sharing your food. My wife accuses me because she doesn't eat spicy. She doesn't eat onions. So when we go out and eat, she says I order spicy on purpose so I wouldn't have to share my food with her.
Diabolical if you're doing that, Bill. Man.
Which is not true, but I like spicy. And then on the other, hey, guys, I'm going to invite you out. Anytime you're out in California, go to Santa Cruz, go to Pizza My Heart. I guarantee you it's better than me personally, it's better than New York pie, and it's better than Chicago pie. But I'm going to tell you this, Maggie. You have anchovies on your pizza. I don't care how cute you look on Daytona Beach and spring break. I am not sharing my ice cream with you.
I know. Oh, my gosh, Bill, I can even one-up that. So anchovies, I don't order it, but I like that kind of taste. I once had in New Haven, Connecticut, which rivals
best pizza town in the world. Some say.
Some will say. I had to do a thing there for a broadcast many years ago, and there's a famous place there that has clam pie.
Oh yeah,
clam pizza. So it's clam. It's a truckload of garlic. I mean, clam and garlic, and it tastes like you brush your teeth with the bottom of the ocean. And I had to do a thing there where I was eating several slices of it at like 9:15 in the morning.
Yeah.
It's like the first thing I ate. It was like the toothpaste and then the clam pizza. I mean,
that's rough.
That is a good assignment, though, to go to Frank Pepe and have to down a bunch of pizza. Even 9:15 in the morning, that sounds amazing.
They opened up the restaurant special, and we did this whole thing. And then I had to actually go do the job, which was sideline reporter. So I shot a little feature that was going to run a halftime, and then I had to go be a sideline reporter. I don't know
get in the face of like a head coach or somebody like that.
Exactly. I don't know if people understand this. TV, when it looks like you're far away, you're actually really close. So when you are a sideline reporter, you're shoulder to shoulder with the person. And I just had the dragon breath all day. I'm downing like Altoids, just putting a fire hose up to my mouth trying to get this clam taste out and garlic. I was a mess.
By the way, what I know about Daytona Spring Break, anchovy pizza would not keep anybody from making out with anybody. You could basically throw up in a garbage can and make out 3 seconds later, and nobody would blink an eye. From what I've only seen it really on MTV. I've never been to it. You guys ever done a traditional spring break?
Oh, yeah.
In Daytona Beach?
No, I never went to Daytona.
Or Padre Island?
No, we went to the Bahamas.
Okay.
Yeah, in college.
The closest thing I did was Hawaii spring break was for a senior trip.
That's pretty fancy, though.
Yeah, it's the only reason.
That was high school.
One of the only reasons I went to my high school, St. Francis Prep.
But I'm talking about like South Padre Island. Where
I've been to Myrtle Beach spring break. I think that was probably pretty close.
You went to Myrtle Beach spring break in college?
I was actually my senior year of high school. Thanks, Mom.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you have any garlic pizza?
And no, I also didn't boot and rally and then make out with anybody either. So none of those things happened, as far as I remember.
That is so funny you mentioned the sideline reporter. EJ and I were on the court at the Knicks-Sixers game last night, in case you haven't heard.
Yeah.
Well, I brought up 400 times.
On the court, yeah.
The sideline reporter was 5 feet in front of us interviewing Tom Thibodeau, and they were shoulder to shoulder.
You're right there.
I couldn't believe it. And she was a little taller than him, by the way.
Rebecca Harlow.
No, this was Katie George. She was doing the ESPN game.
You have to get right up in there with the person.
Yeah.
It's intimate. And if you've just had clam pizza with like 10 cloves of garlic on it, you'll be self-conscious.
Yeah, it's funny Perloff mentioned that. That also did stun me too, how close she was. But also I think it was to hear Tom, because it's a loud arena. You know, so you're factoring that into, I'm sure someone's in her ear yelling at her to ask a certain question. So, yeah, she was like basically right in his face, and he looked like that was the last place he wanted to be.
The Tom Thibodeau's always everywhere he looks. It's like the last place he wants to be.
But fourth quarter, having scored 52 points already and through 40 minutes of basketball, it was a terrible game. I actually wondered, EJ, at a certain point, do Nick Nurse and Tom Thibodeau really care about this game? It's like a G League roster on both sides. It was tough.
I just want also people to know in terms of TV and how close people are. So when everyone loved Chris Collinsworth sliding into the shot with Al Michaels, just know they could have turned and made out with each other. That's how close they are. It's real close.
That would have done some ratings if that happened.
Well, yeah.
They would have never broken them up then.
The amazing thing is, they never show the spotter in those boxes, who is Chris to his right, has a guy glued to his right hand, is telling me exactly what's going on. But you can't talk and actually watch the football game at the same time. Spotters are huge in that booth. Yes, and they have to have good breath. That's important.
It's
Everyone
the number
in this
one
industry,
requirement.
That's why there's free gum on the craft service table. You have to have good breath.
Because you're close to people. Anyway.
You and I are not that close, by the way.
No, you and I aren't, because we're doing a radio thing.
Yes, because I have such coffee breath the entire show.
Well, I'd be passed out.
Yeah, you're thankful that you're not close to me.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Okay, more big things happening. NFL free agency. It's all here on the table. We get to more of the dominoes falling next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. The education of Andrew Perloff continues. Sometimes I guess I don't get modern references. So we're coming up with catchphrases for Russell Wilson now that he's in Pittsburgh. Some of them turned out to be either R-rated or sound like a read for Romans and erectile dysfunction drugs. Stay hard.
Yeah, when it's Steeler, stuff like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of pounding and hammering going on. And
pipe.
Yeah.
Pipe has been mentioned more than I'm comfortable with.
But I think that, weirdly, we've landed on one that now we just can't get out of our heads.
I think this one's harmless.
Steelers country.
Well, what's the nickname when you talk about Dallas, but you don't want to call it Dallas because you've already used that 7 times in the paragraph? What would you call it? What's
Losers.
the nickname?
I'll say it. Big D.
Right, the Big D.
Yeah, down in Big D.
Kind of like the big game is a euphemism for the Super Bowl.
Sure.
And apparently Maggie's uncomfortable with saying that.
No, I used
nickname.
to say there were things I couldn't say on the radio that other people could, and one of them was that. But now we've blown through that stop sign.
Why can't you say that?
Times.
Can you call it the Big Easy?
Well, wait, hold on. When she said it in the break, you went, "Why? What's wrong with that? The D's for Dallas."
Well, I know.
And by the way,
why? I was like, I'm part of a male anatomy, and you're like, huh?
I'm also used to in Philadelphia. They just say that they don't even say the Big D part. They just say the whole thing, and they don't even think twice about it.
Wait, hold on, but you missed the one that we like now. Russ's new catchphrase now that he signed in Pittsburgh.
Let's weld.
It's so stupid. I love it.
It's a lot like Let's Ride.
Yeah.
And it has a Go Hawks feel to it. It's simple. You can say at the end of every press conference, okay, so I plan to be more aggressive on third down. Gotta go. Let's weld.
I think I picture him having like one of those masks that you put down over your face to make sure the sparks don't get in.
Now I'm in. If he drops
Steelers country.
He's got to do a photo shoot like that.
Yeah, if he dramatically pulls the metal mask down while he says that, I could get behind it.
Well, remember in like the 80s when like all those baseball players would have those cool like posters of
Yes,
like
the Kostakis brothers.
yeah, like the Hitman, like Don Madden, like they got to do something like that for Russell Wilson now. He's got to be doing something in a steel factory with lava coming from behind him, and he's got like a big hammer and let's weld.
You guys, by the way,
very homoerotic, but sure.
By the way, they go do this with AI now. They don't even need him to do it
Yeah,
anymore.
that's true. He doesn't have to show up.
I love that I brought up the movie Flashdance, iconic Pittsburgh movie. She's a welder or she's a steel worker who strips at night, and you guys have never heard of it, right?
I know it.
Yeah, but basically, if I brought up Bane and the Pittsburgh Save, like there are a lot of great movies about Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
But Flashdance is the iconic one, and I don't know. I feel like Russell is going to incorporate that at some point.
What's the movie where Jean-Claude Van Damme saves the penguins and the igloo from exploding? What movie is that?
Batman Returns?
No, there's a movie.
Wait, what?
I was lost.
Jean-Claude Van Damme was in a Batman movie? No.
There's a movie where like he's stopping a bomb from going off, and it's the igloo in Pittsburgh. I think that's the arena.
Wow.
Sudden Death, 1995.
There it is.
Sounds awesome.
Wow, that sounds like such a 1995 movie.
Definitely.
Yes.
It sounds like Liam Neeson could have had something to do with that.
They usually got for the sequel.
I drive a Zamboni, but I have special skills.
You talk about saving animals. We're talking about a fish that saved Pittsburgh.
Oh, that's a famous one too.
Dr. J's in that one,
Yes,
right?
he
That's
is.
a basketball comedy, which was not funny. Did you really?
This is a great,
I love that one.
Very disturbing movie, but a great movie set in Pittsburgh is Bruce Wilson, Sarah Jessica Parker.
They're cops who go on a boat up and down the river.
And they're trying to stop a serial killer, and it's a serial killer who's only killing people who Bruce Willis used to be in relationships with.
And is Sarah Jessica Parker
also a cop?
Yeah.
It's called Striking Distance.
Yeah, you lost me with her as a cop.
I've never heard of that movie.
It's very 90s. Very good.
I remember that.
Yeah. I would say it's a good representation of Pittsburgh, but again, there's a serial killer on the loose. But it's kind of an inside job. It's old beef.
Well, spoiler alert.
Well, it came out in 1994, so.
Never mind. Now I know it.
Sorry, it's an old childhood nemesis who's killing everyone.
I just did a quick Google of movies in Pittsburgh, and it came up with movies that are currently in theaters in Pittsburgh. So
Great, Oppenheimer.
I'm such an idiot. I'm like, wow, Kung Fu Panda 4 was shot in Pittsburgh? Apparently not. Dune Part 2. That Pittsburgh. I just saw it the other day. I don't remember any rivers or steel mills.
Permanente Brothers made its way onto the wherever Dune takes place.
Saw Dune 2, by the way.
I know you had a nice little Sunday.
Sorry, just a little left turn here. Dune 2, I took my 13-year-old daughter and her best friend. They had not seen Dune 1.
Ooh.
I've never seen kids with less idea what the heck was happening because I had seen Dune 1 and still had no idea what was happening. So note to theater goers, see Dune 1 before you see Dune 2.
Unlike many of Jean-Claude Van Damme's movies, in which you can kind of drop in whatever.
Fast and Furious.
Yeah, right.
I thought they do the first 5 minutes, they sort of quasi-recap the first movie, and no, not so much.
Well, wasn't the first movie 6 hours long? How do you recap?
No, it was basically one long movie that was cut into two.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Speaking of movies, so Oscars were last night.
Yeah.
You and EJ didn't watch because you were literally courtside at the Knicks game. Not faux courtside.
Yeah.
We were actually 3 or 4 rows deep. You guys literally sitting next
feet on the court.
Feet on the court, sitting next to the owner of the Knicks. I mean, that's not exactly a positive, but you were there. That's how close you were.
And I meekly tipped the ball to Kelly Oubre. It was sad.
It's that kind of
You could have
athleticism.
got the ball and done a mellow. You could have dribbled it and
Can I tell you one
gave
thing?
it back, and then you just missed the opportunity.
I've known this before. NBA basketballs are so overinflated because those guys' hands are so big that they don't care. This ball was a rock.
Well, also, you're passing that around between all these people. It's cold and flu season. Best not to touch that thing at all.
Kyle, if they're on the court, I assume they're healthy. Kyle Lowry wasn't giving me a flu.
The referees check. Everyone's snotting all over the place. Anyway.
Okay.
So
easy, Grandma.
So more things I can't say on the radio. Too late. So there was actually a big controversy last night at the end of the Oscars, and we're not talking about it nearly as much as the snafu between La La Land and Moonlight. But I think something maybe not similar, but sort of in the same vein happened, which was Al Pacino is 83, and he came out to present Best Picture. So it's the last one of the night. Bogish, you were watching. Bilotti, Yes? No?
Yeah, I saw that part.
Okay, so he comes out and, he looks almost all of 83. Would you say that?
Yes, that's fair.
All right.
A young 83.
It's very fair.
Yeah. So he comes out and he goes, there were 10 pictures nominated, and I'm going to tell you, but only one can win. And he starts opening the envelope. He never tossed to the nominees. We never got a recap, that pre-production piece where they name all the nominees, and he just looks at it. He goes, my eyes tell me Oppenheimer.
Okay.
And then it was like the scramble for the camera crew to try to get in Christopher Nolan's face. It was very awkward.
I'm glad he did. It got right to the point instead of all these video packages. Let's go. Just give out the awards and be done in a half hour.
Says the guy older than Pacino.
It's ridiculous.
I think the whole package probably would have been about 45 seconds.
Standing up there, all these packages and then all this stuff. Come on. They're giving out awards.
I know. How dare they milk it?
No, I mean, they had to start early.
They did.
They had to start early.
Yeah, why was it over at 10:30? I got home at 10:30. It was just
Started at 7.
It started at 7
The
Eastern.
actual awards started at 7?
Yeah, a little after 7, yeah.
Wow.
I am hearing people were happy that it ended at 10:30.
It was great.
Yeah.
I mean, for people like us who have to wake up early in the morning. And yeah, Al Pacino probably cut, again, 45 seconds off of this thing. I don't think they made to save major time.
Well, they wanted to be quick, and then the first award was Female Supporting Actress, and it was cool. They had 5 previous winners, and they each spoke directly to the nominees, but it took 12 minutes.
That's what took long, because they did that for Best Supporting and Best Actor.
Yeah.
And Best Director.
Yeah.
Did they do it for Director?
I don't remember.
not.
I was half asleep at that point. I don't remember.
No, it was just actors. It was just actors.
Did the story come? Were people talking about the holdovers controversy? That entire script was plagiarized? That's the new word out on the street.
You mean like Best Adapted Screenplay, if you will?
I don't even know if it was nominated for. Apparently, it was they repurposed a 2013 script and didn't tell anybody. So the holdovers
the Paul
is now.
Giamatti movie?
Yeah, the Paul Giamatti movie, which was actually considered a possibility for. It was nominated for Oscar.
Yeah.
So the holdovers, I was wondering if that was looming over this thing because there's a huge plagiarism. Which dawned on me, there is not a single original idea in Hollywood. Right, that is not a hot take right now. We were.
They're remaking. Naked Gun.
Right, so-
No, there's no more original ideas.
I was at Dune 2. The previews were for another Planet of the Apes movie, which no one on Earth called for, and another King Kong Godzilla movie, which they apparently put out every 3 years and no one watches. Anyway, just saying that there's a slight lack of originality.
Can I pull up full circle?
Yeah.
You know who's producing all those King Kong movies? One of the minority owners of the Pittsburgh Steelers, who's in business with Russell Wilson.
What?
Wow.
That guy, Tom Tulla, whatever his name is, who was in with Russ and Ciara.
And he has a Godzilla?
He's a producer of all those Godzilla movies.
They are awful. I could.
Now, if you told me Seth MacFarlane was producing it, then I'd watch.
Seth MacFarlane is doing the new Naked Gun.
Yes.
So we will watch that. Yeah, you guys, basically, if anyone doesn't know, Pete and Maggie are stuck in 1989 comedy sequels.
Yep. And proud to be there.
Weekend at Bernie's 2. I mean, the dude's dead. We know. We get it.
No, not if there's a voodoo curse.
That's right.
It would make him alive again.
There's other
Bogusch
possibilities.
has headlines. Good morning.
Good morning again.
Some of the Russell Wilson catchphrases would apply to Weekend at Bernie's too, because half the joke was because he still could get aroused as a dead man. So anyway, just want to throw that out there.
Pounding.
Yeah,
Good morning.
just show everyone where Maggie and Pete's head is at.
Let's start.
Russell Wilson going to Pittsburgh, Baker Mayfield staying with the Bucs, and Kirk Cousins likely leaving Minnesota, all overshadowing the Patriots pulling the plug on Mac Jones yesterday from the 25th pick to being swapped for a 6th rounder with a Pro Bowl appearance in between over just a 3-year span. Jones will go to Jacksonville on Wednesday. Once moves like this are allowed again, you'll be shocked to hear that some Patriot fans will not miss Mac.
Have fun being a backup in Jacksonville. I don't know.
And then there's this guy.
Yeah, Mac Jones stinks. I'm glad he went to the Jaguars.
This guy went a little further, at least in theory. I have a jersey, so now I got to burn it. I'm sad.
You're going to burn the jersey?
No, it was a gift. I got to keep it.
He's got to keep it. Those gentlemen speaking to
not even good enough to burn the jersey.
WBZ News Radio.
Wasn't one of those
Boston.
our friend Tom Curran from NBC Sports Boston? I swear he was
that
in
Peter
there.
Griffin?
He was in there somewhere.
Have fun being a backup in Jacksonville. I don't know.
Not that guy. The next guy was Tom Curran.
Yeah, Mac Jones stinks. I'm glad he went to the Jaguars.
That is Tom Curran, right?
Welcome to Worcester, be a dollar.
Did you see the Patriots documentary? He was the #1 talking head, and he sounds exactly like that.
He does.
Also met Tom. I met Tom Curran Super Bowl. He definitely sounds like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He doesn't. There's not a fake accent. He doesn't turn it off.
And don't miss that Maggie just did a better Sandler than Perloff has ever done.
Wait, I didn't hear it. Let me hear.
No.
Now gonna do it again.
That was Sandler.
Yeah,
Well,
that's from his
just
comedy
New
album.
Hampshire. Oh yeah. Welcome to Worcester, be a dollar. That's also what they say.
That's not Sandler.
Sounded like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
It's in my. That's
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Sandler has a comedy disc, and that's the bit. He's a toll booth collector, and it just keeps saying, "Welcome to Worcester, the $1.25, please." Like it's the whole thing, and he just gets progressively meaner, and they yell back at him. It's hilarious.
If you ever actually go to Foxborough and go to a game and go to Park, I don't want to say Park, but if you actually do that, you'll be alarmed at how thick the accent is. Like, are you guys putting this on, like for the tourists? Like, Park over there.
The NFL's legal tampering period begins at noon Eastern today. We should have agreements by 12:01 because there still is illegal tampering. And the Bears now say they want to put $2 billion toward a domed, publicly owned stadium in Chicago. No more with that old racetrack in suburban Arlington Heights.
Do you know if it's going to be retractable or is it just a dome?
You asked me for domed last time, and I got you domed. So I'll go back to retractable. I've only seen domed.
Let me make this clear.
Damn it, Bogey.
They want a public stadium that's $2 billion. Yeah, so they want someone else to build them the very nice stadium.
The rest of it, yeah. The other $6 billion will come from us.
Seems quite generous of them to want all that tax money. What? Oh, God. I hate sports stadiums. Pay for it yourself, you jerks.
I don't know why they don't put it right in Rosemont, Illinois, right next to the Allstate Arena. There's so much space over there. Why don't you just put it right there?
I think you're kind of far away from downtown Chicago there, though.
Yeah, but you know what? It's fine. You find a way to make mass transit. That's easy, and put it right there.
City planning by people on you.
Yeah,
Build a train.
There's a lot of space. Just build a train and you're there.
Get some buses.
Right.
Tuk-tuks.
The Philadelphia 76ers scored 79 points last night, but still won an NBA game because Josh Hart of the Knicks only scored 73.
We play like
okay.
We, like I said, obviously didn't shoot the ball well.
No, you didn't shoot the ball well. T's and P's to the Knicks fans that actually paid for their tickets last night. The best news is these two play again tomorrow night. So if you missed that one, try to miss that one tomorrow night.
We're hitting a tough stretch of the NBA season right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to get 5 real starters out there.
But that's when they're like, and college basketball, step on up.
Yeah. Just distract us for a month until the NBA gets to the playoffs.
Speaking of that, the Drake men won a fun Missouri Valley final yesterday, 84-80 over top seed Indiana State. The Bulldogs are up 18 midway through the second half, lost that lead, but recovered to claim their second straight auto bid. Tucker DeVries scored 27. Jalen Blackman had 43 to lead Stetson past Austin P 94-91 to win the ASUN auto bid. The Hatters, dancing for the first time ever, they are the 331st school to make the tournament.
So that means no Indiana State in the tournament?
Let's get them in.
They should get in.
Robbie Avila, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yeah, what is that?
Kareem spelled Cream.
Yes. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, yeah.
That, we need him in. I mean, I don't know what the committee can do about that.
And also, like, they got to get in. Like, enough of these mediocre Power 5 schools that get 15 opportunities to beat good teams and they win 3 games. You say, you know what? I know Villanova, you had 15 losses, but hey, you won 2 good games, so we're going to put you in. Sorry, Indiana State, nobody wants to play you. So you lost your championship game against another team in the tournament. Sorry, you're done. I'm so sick of this. Get these mediocre Power 5 schools out of there, and a team like Indiana State deserves to be in.
Yeah, I mean, 68 is not enough. We need 90.
No, 68 is enough. We're just picking the wrong 68.
No, I'm kidding.
300 teams. Let's just do that.
Honestly, at this day, what's the difference between a mid-major and any of these?
Right.
Except for like the very, very top.
Indiana State has guys that probably transferred from these power schools that are not playing in Indiana State.
That's
They're all the same.
It's like San Diego State and, the FAU and all these ones from last year. It's like, well, he started at Kansas, and then he came, this guy started at Villanova.
U.S. women's soccer won the first ever Women's Gold Cup, 1-0 over Brazil in San Diego last night. That goal from Lindsey Horan. And the Islanders, a 6-1 rout of the Ducks in Anaheim. That's a 6-game win streak.
Yes.
They jumped the Red Wings for now for the last playoff spot in the Eastern Conference. You're welcome, Pete. Back to you guys.
Thank you.
Bogish. Very good. Thank you very much. Coming up, how this signing is going under the radar, I have no idea. We'll get to it next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. So lots of quarterback news. Russell Wilson signs with the Pittsburgh Steelers late last night, Perloff. That's like the headliner.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield goes back to Tampa. Basically a 2-year, $50 million guaranteed deal. Mac Jones got traded to the Jacksonville Jaguars for essentially like a bag of footballs. And the under-the-radar-ish signing from the weekend, because the quarterbacks take up so much oxygen, was Chris Jones. Got the big extension, 5 years, $95 million guaranteed. This is all happening for Kansas City. He's coming back. And listen, you could argue, and I would argue, that he's the second most important person to this the Kansas City Chiefs dynasty. I mean, even in the earlier Super Bowls, the win against San Francisco, he made 2 massive plays in the fourth quarter of that game. You go to the Super Bowl against the Eagles, your Eagles, he played more snaps than anyone else on the defensive line in that Super Bowl.
I mean, that one, you cannot.
Not a lot of defense in that game.
Terrible.
And then this most recent one, not just the quarterback hits and knockdowns, but pressuring Purdy on the 3rd and 4 on the opening drive in overtime, forced San Francisco to kick a field goal, and you could argue that was the biggest play of the game.
Well, this theory of yours will get tested severely when Travis Kelce eventually retires. We will see who Patrick Mahomes is without Travis Kelce. So I think you could make a good. And 2 years ago, I would have told you, no, it's Tyreek Hill.
Yeah,
and it turned out that Mahomes could overpass that. But I do wonder. I think you make a great point. I think historically, people are going to look at is Patrick Mahomes obviously won. I think Kelce will go down in history as 2. Offensive side of the ball, and he is very important. It is a question, how do they do this without Kelce? I heard, did we hear, you might have mentioned the headline that Rashee Rice is learning Travis Kelce's routes, so eventually they can replace him.
Oh, wow.
So there's an issue about Travis Kelce. I mean, Chris Jones is great. And the one thing, I think it's under the radar, there's no way they can let him out of the building, because who are they without him?
Well, that's the thing. I keep calling the Steelers because we've been talking so much Pittsburgh today. Pardon me, the Chiefs, they keep telling you who they feel is most important by the people they keep re-signing. They let Tyreek Hill go. They've won 2 Super Bowls since he's gone. They did not want to let Chris Jones go.
Yeah.
Like, that's telling you everything.
Yeah, and we'll see what they do with Jerry Sneed. There's still a lot of rumors out that they'll trade him. I'm looking forward to today. Big day. Legal tampering's at noon. So what's a new time frame? Legal tampering, all the stories come out by noon, so they don't even wait for free agency to start on Wednesday. I'll bet you all the deals are done, and we are just going to get flurry of headlines today.
I would expect some movement. Now, the one thing for me is Justin Fields. Are we going to get what's the market for Fields? It's different because it's a trade. Kirk Cousins, a little more straightforward. That's just money.
For me, it's Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley seem to be choosing between the Ravens, Eagles, and Cowboys. I know running backs are not in favor, but those guys are exciting. That's going to be a big headline.
That's true. Let's go to Chris is in California. He's got a thought on the Steelers signing Russell Wilson and what this means for Kenny Pickett. Perloff and I both think this is probably it for Kenny Pickett. What do you think, Chris?
Hey, good morning. Thank you for taking my call. So I know these organizations are multi-billion-dollar organizations, but me being a fan and following football for so long, and I find it very unfair for certain, because these players don't get to choose who picks them in the draft. I feel like a lot of these organizations that put these players in position to fail, they should be penalized for negligence, lose draft picks or something.
Well, Chris, I mean, do you really put the Steelers there? I know we all didn't like Matt Canada and that offensive coordinator, and thank you for the phone call. I mean, I guess you could say the Patriots would probably be more, guilty of kind of messing up a young quarterback when you put Matt Patricia and Joe Judge as co-offensive coordinators for a second-year QB.
Well, I think the issue with Pickett is you could say that, but I think if Kenny Pickett could have picked any team, he clearly would have picked the Steelers. He went to Pittsburgh.
Right.
I mean, that one doesn't make you saying that teams should be penalized or something, or that players should be able to pick where they go. Yeah, that might be true for Caleb Williams, but Kenny Pickett would have chosen Pittsburgh.
Probably. Meanwhile, our pal Zach Gelb, Perloff. Of course, Zach Gelb show later on many of these CBS Sports Radio stations saying, I talked to a source who told him that Russell Wilson will take the QB1 reps and is the day one starter for the Steelers. The source also said Mike Tomlin is all in on Russ for the season. Even if they say there's a quote-unquote competition, they know Russ will start week 1. There you go. That's what you and I have been saying. I mean, just the pedigree is already there with Russ.
Yeah, I mean, I think to get him to go there happily, I think you kind of had to say that too.
Great show. EJ Stewart, Pete Bellotti, Andrew Bogusch, Andrew Kaplan, Weedos, Coffee Drinkers. We've got a big announcement for you tomorrow regarding the NCAA tournament and one of our very special Weedo friends. We'll see you then.
You're in a 5-minute break.